No, I can't deal with this again. Sing the threesome song again.
No.
Oh.
Anyway.
Okay. Hello, and welcome back to what we're calling episode 9.5 of the Skip Charge podcast. And it's point 0.5 for a reason. And we explained a little bit of it in the last episode, but it's mainly because we got a little bit trigger happy thinking we could fit every single limited card and every single ban card on the ban list as a discussion point into like one podcast episode, and it took us like 4 hours in the end. So to save your ears and to save our souls, we've decided to split it into 2 episodes. So you're going to get this this bonus 0.5 episode.
Yep.
Bonus. You're going to get this special 0.5 episode while Pete and Ollie are away in France competing. And then afterwards, we're going to do our big 10th episode, which will be their breakdown of France finals, as well as your community suggestions for Dragon Ball's Den as well. So there won't be a Dragon Ball's Den in this episode. We're just going to go straight into the banned content once we have finished just doing this very brief preamble. So make sure you get those into us in the comments below. We are very quickly going to discuss what Pete and Ollie are taking to France finals. So they'll actually be playing as you're listening to this. So it'll be like a bit of a spoiler for you, but we're not going to be giving anything away for you guys here as well. So Pete, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
What are you playing right now as the viewers are watching and as the people on Spotify are listening? What deck are you playing right now?
So I should be playing Nova Shenron, which is what, 4-star ball, is it? I think it
Yeah.
is. Because the thing is with the French one, it was a hard one to prep for, because the way I did it was I thought to myself I'm gonna play Oceanus because I really like that deck. So I thought to myself at that point in time I didn't play Nova. So I thought to myself, because I've got to buy French cards, if I buy French Shadow Dragons, then I can pivot. I mean, I could still technically change to Oceanus, but I don't believe I will be. But that's the way I've designed it. I've designed it so the Shadow Dragons I brought are usable for either version. And that's the problem, right? Because when you get French cards, I can't like test all the way to a week before. I mean, I'm still technically waiting on a couple of cards to come as we speak. I should be fine without them, but that's the point, right? It's like it's the whole. It's still going to take weeks, and then I've got to decide on a deck weeks before. Sadly, BT26 is not legal, so Invoker wasn't even a chance. Plus, all the pre-release cards in that pretty much are set 10, so they don't count as French cards. So I probably wouldn't even have a French deck anyway, if I did want to take it, which I don't want to. So, but yeah, that is what I'm playing.
Nice. And anything which is setting your Nova deck apart, anything you're taking in to deal with the meta that you're expecting?
So it's a tricky one because, again, because of the restriction on the French cards, my choices are quite limited, and it mostly depends on if the cards come tomorrow, then I'm a bit more free on my side deck. If they don't come tomorrow, then because I've got to make up the numbers, and again, for anyone that hasn't heard or is not aware, you need 50% of your deck as French cards or cards that count as French. So just to give you a quick snippet of what that looks like is, for example, any pre-release card after set 10 is treated as a French card because they don't get pre-release cards in from set 10 is my understanding. And then alternative arts that are not released in France, so for example the world stamped Beast Hand or world stamped Apex, for example, they don't exist in French language, so those cards would be treated as a French card. Same with like some of the top 16 cards, or like the collector Collector Volume 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can't get them in French language. So it's quite difficult. So at the moment, I'm a bit short on that answer because, in terms of like any special text, because it all comes down to like tomorrow, I'm waiting on 4, 8. I'm waiting on like 12 cards,
Yeah.
which is quite a big chunk, right? So what I will say is, if it is Nova, which I believe it is, it will be the control variant I play, because obviously I'm a control player anyway. And with Oceanus, I do love Oceanus, but I noticed with Nova's hand size is so much better.
Yeah.
And I've been testing obviously into the meta, and I like it. I would I wish I had more experience with Nova, but the version I'm playing is the control variant, so it aims to get the. It's such a lame combo, man. You get the secret rare down, you hide behind Son Goku Annihilator, and then depending on their energy situation, is what you do with the rest of it. But yeah, it's so lame, man. It's
Can we just
cheesy.
ban Annihilator already? Like that card. I've had such an issue with that card for years.
Yeah. It's so cheesy, and but yeah, the inspiration came from Legends List, because I only saw, of course, the only no, because before that I only saw aggressive versions, and obviously I'm not an aggressive player, so I never wanted to play Nova that way. Where Oceanus I saw as more of a control deck, or mid range, I suppose, really, because it can lock down the leader each turn, kind of thing, and I liked that. So when I played Nova, spoiler alert, the main deck is 60 cards. So if you think about this logically, you got 60 card main deck, 15 side, and then the leader. So that's 76 cards. And I need half of that as French cards. So
This is why
yeah,
you should always play 50 cards. Just saves money overall.
now what I think I will be.
valuable lesson of deck building there.
Yeah, well, what I think I will be doing, I've kind of so if I do end up putting this in my list, there's no special reason. Well, no special reason for the deck. So I'm planning on just to add French cards, because little background story before I rabbit on too much is my brother. He's a bit of a cheapskate at times, right? Or he's less wasteful than I am.
Shout
So
out to
he
Lance Dance.
Yeah, exactly. So he's the kind of guy that back in the day he brought a French mirror, the 7-drop overrealm, because it was a quid cheaper in France than English. And when they released all the lineage stuff that made the VS possible, and stuff, those cards became expensive. So he brought these green ones. It's the one that's on the limited list that we talked about. He's brought, obviously he brought 4 of these in French. You can't quite see it's in French here because of the camera, but there's a good chance that this will be in my side deck. There's a 99% chance this will be in my side deck. So if I do well, which I hope I do, and you see this in my list, just know it's only there because A, it's a French card, and B, it's just my brother's card. So it's the only reason it's in there. But I need, I need what? 76. Did I say 76? Yeah, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I need 38 French cards. Last I counted was about 32, and I don't know if that was including the cards that are coming or not. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, so I we'll see. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is I don't plan on playing Nova. So spoiler alert, I don't plan on playing Nova for EU finals. I kind of was forced to play it because I'm forced to buy French cards. Otherwise, it probably would have been a different deck, and it's not BT26 legal, so I can't play any of the new decks I wanted to play. So yeah, but it should be a good experience regardless. But I just wish I had a deck I wanted to play a bit more.
Yeah.
Unlike
So,
Mr. Ali here.
so the secret tech is Hope of Universe 7. We should have brought
Yeah.
that card back to 4 in our limited review, so Pete would have more French cards to contribute to his deck. Nice segue, Ollie. What will you be taking? And same questions again. How are you planning to combat the meta? Any secret techs, etc.?
So, yeah, I'm going to be taking Blue Bojack to French finals, which I'm super excited for. It's obviously my favorite deck in the game. That's not the main reason. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm taking it, but it's not the main reason. There's kind of an accumulation of reasons. I wanted to go into the French event either playing my second choice for Utrecht finals to kind of either eliminate that or solidify it. Or I wanted to play a BT26 deck that I was maybe interested in but didn't really know how it worked too well in a competitive field. I'm not nowhere near organized enough to have a second pick for Utrecht finals or a first pick or any pick right now. I know Blue Bojack is going to be like my very, very, very last resort backup pick for if I literally don't test from now until Utrecht, which is like not going to happen. I'm going to be able to think of something else to play by that point. But obviously I managed to do fairly well with it in the regionals recently, and it's also my favorite deck, so I'm kind of incentivized to play it there. And also BT26, like Pete said, is not legal, so that wipes that option off for me. So we're kind of sticking with Blue Bojack because it's a very, very last resort backup option.
And how many cards did you have to buy? How many fucking cards did you have to buy?
It's also happens to be a very
Bastard.
good financial decision because me, a smart businessman, likes to play 50 cards in his decks, especially Blue Bojack, and also has most of Blue Bojack in max rarity, which means pre-release cards from set 13 and random alt art promos, and I do not have to buy a French card for my main or side deck currently. I'm gonna bring a couple of like other options with me, and also a couple of random like pre-release promos like Peter's doing with his French Universe 7 thing, just in case like I change a couple cards and the numbers don't add up anymore. But it's also extremely helpful because like random things like that 8-drop Bojack was printed in a regional pricing in like silver foil that doesn't have a French printing. There are obviously all the pre-release cards, the
Event pack cards.
Yeah,
like
the event packs, like the prospects that you're going to bring me.
Am I?
I don't
He might
know.
need them for his own side deck, mate. At this point, he's running out of French.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, if you see Peter with 3 heroic prospects in his side, then just know that that's why I haven't made top cut.
Exactly. Because that's the thing as well. I was thinking just as you were talking, I was like, I can't even bring Janimba because Janimba's got so many old cards. Yeah. Like Nimbus, it's max, like quote unquote max rarity, but it doesn't count because it's not. It already exists in French printing, or like because the champ stamp, they had their own championship one, so it doesn't matter. And like the only thing I think of is like judge stat, but even like D-Magic judge cards don't count because it's too old.
Yeah, that one's old as well, I was gonna say.
Yeah. So it's like, I couldn't even like if I wanted to do a late minute switch to like Janimba because that's one of my favorite decks. I can't. I think I probably have. I think the only thing off the top of my head that counts, not to like cut you off on your little conversation, but I think the only card I probably have off the top of my head is the Bojack Negate, because I've got that in Judge level 2.
Yeah, good old Bojack coming in clutch in every way, really.
Exactly. Sorry, Karen.
But yeah, to answer your question about how I'm going to combat the meta, I feel pretty confident into basically every deck that isn't Kid Coup or using the Green Bardock Unison. Like I've tested into a lot of decks in my time playing Blue Bojack, and a lot of decks in this format as well. So yeah, I feel pretty confident into, I guess maybe the only other deck that I'm not 100% sure on is the Black Vegito matchup. But I'm kind of just hoping that my deck is tanky enough to live until turn 4, or at least until I have 4 energy, and then I should be okay from then on. As soon as I get that Unison down, I think I'm chilling.
Because Deborah Unison will give you just outs to the Vegetos for days, won't it, as well?
Gives me barrier removal, gives me a blocker every turn, gives me pressure through Bardock Floodgate, gives me also the -1 skill to stop another attack or negate more skills. Like, the card is crazy.
Yeah, I think you'll do well with it, to be fair.
I hope so. That'll be nice. Yeah, I feel very confident into the Nuova matchup, because I've played a lot into set 10 SYN, so it's kind of just the same engine but with some new tools.
I can definitely tell you from my point of view, I don't think it's winnable. However, I will say I was talking to Ollie about this card, and I think this is probably my only chance. The Emperor of Universe 7 TB1.
Peter's got to find a way to fit Freezer into his decks.
7 drop Freezer.
But yeah, I think Bojack generally just outvalues Nuova, luckily. And also can push through Nimbus really easily with the Unison now. Yeah, Bardock Unison, especially in the Cell reboot deck, is an issue. I'm just hoping to dodge that matchup. I got very lucky in the fact that in the regionals I played in, I did end up playing against it, but I somehow managed to win against it. Like, I think my early 2 turns were very, very strong, which just meant he couldn't establish a Bardock Unison down. And then from there, I was just able to outvalue. What?
Just didn't see my Bardock Unison, no.
I mean, that if they don't draw Bardock Unison by turn 2, I think I'm okay there. And then Kidku, obviously the big boogeyman of the room. I don't think the matchup's too bad, especially if I go second. I can get 2 Zangias down before they get the chance to drop a 5-drop, double ramp, and then once they start dropping 5-drops, I have like a turn or 2 where I still have Defending Friends live before I need to build up Z energy again. And then by that point, I'm like a turn or 2 away from just slamming down Keflers and removing their hand, which is really nice. Plus, I have Selzy battle card, and I can bottom deck all their skillless throughout the game and use Oob to Z-charge it and stuff like that. So it's definitely not favored for me, but it's not so unfavored that I'm not opposed to taking the deck. It would be like 55-60% in their favor almost. So I'm not too upset with that, even if just because it's the strongest deck in the room. Like, I can take 1 loss, maybe 2 to it, and then hopefully still make top cut, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, I genuinely like believe you will, because you don't mind taking that, like, like a 60-40 matchup. You can't be good into every single matchup in the room with like such an off-meta pick. So the percentages have got to lie somewhere. And
that's something that you've drilled into me a lot recently this year, especially.
We've been doing a lot of just run with the pick,
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna run across a bad matchup. It's whatever. You can't change it. Just lock in, just get there, just win the game, bro.
I think the only bad part about my pick about Bojack, other than the potential bad, like, rough matchups if I get unlucky, is the fact that I don't have French cards, and Bojack is quite an intrinsic, like, complicated deck. Just because there's so many different actions going on, like, I can perform 4 or 5 different skills on one attack that my opponent does, and that can change the entire state of the game. And I could potentially do that on every attack. So when I go to do something, if my opponent doesn't speak English too well and hasn't really played against Bojack before, it could take a little bit of time to try and get the point across. And Blue Bojack is kind of a late game value deck anyways, so I'm going to have to keep my eye on the clock throughout the games, and I'm also going to have to try and make sure that I'm explaining things properly to people who English won't be their first language necessarily. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm super down to run for it if it means that I can play my favorite deck.
Definitely, man. Taught no Jutsu ends 35 minutes on 8 live. Opponent's going to be fuming when you do it.
I'll just lie to them about my effect. This one has Victory Strike, mate.
Yeah.
It's only cost me 1 energy to play in your turn, bro. What are you talking about?
It will be interesting, because obviously normally when people come to EU matches, like from either Spain or French, we don't get many French people, but generally speaking, there's enough of an English, dialogue there, you can have a match.
Yeah, definitely.
But like this time around, it's like the opposite. Don't know any French, so like it's kind of the opposite effect where people like we can do thumbs up or like you know what I mean. Like I believe we're going to be perfectly fine. However,
there
in
is that
Ollie's case,
feeling of
probably
like,
not.
yeah, there is also that feeling of being those ignorant tourists that are rocking up to an event that isn't ours, that we can't even qualify for. We don't speak the language. We're just here to like knock French people out of the event that they deserve to be qualifying in potentially. So yeah, we're being a bit ignorant about it in that respect, I guess. But also, it's all fair game when it comes to
we're waiting for Star Wars days
competition.
Where we can just put an earbud in and it translates. Mate, once we're in that era, I can't wait. Cannot wait for that era.
Get the Duolingo owl in your ear, just chirping away.
Exactly.
It's just chilling on your shoulder while you're playing. I think like at Euros as well, like English is pretty much like the language across the board, and there's people who don't understand it, but it's like that's very much like the accepted medium of communication. Whereas at this tournament, it absolutely won't be. It'll be French. So there is that sense of like you're now going to be the one on the way you both are going to be on the other side of the coin, where you're trying to kind of get into the flow of the tournament and wondering what's being said and how to kind of communicate it across. So
yeah,
very,
exactly.
very interesting.
It's going to be very difficult, I think. I mean, I don't know if stuff's going to be communicated in English because, again, it's the first time I've gone to an event where, because obviously with French, it's not counted as Europe for the purpose of Bandai, because everywhere else. So if we went to a Spanish event, you have to be able to speak English because the game is English.
Yeah.
For France, technically, you're probably meant to be able to speak French. You know.
Sorry, I gotta. We didn't have a segment earlier where we didn't talk about Dragon Ball, and I've just received big news from 20 minutes ago. Shout out to everyone playing Star Wars Unlimited right now. The yellow boba leader has just been banned.
Ooh.
Ah, yes. However, you know what? Shit, that was my deck for like November. So, okay,
Bro,
I guess
Birmingham format is gonna be a shit show. The best deck in the best leader in the game with 4 different decks has just been banned, and a new set has just come out, and we've got a tournament in 2 weeks after France.
So,
how do we prepare, man?
You see, my life, right? So he's now worried. My life's easy, right? Because there's a mill deck that recently came out. So I wasn't going to spend money into it, but now, well, the mill deck's shit. Well, I think it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, I was going to play Bobber, but yeah. So now I'll just play that, right? Like I'll just try and make it work and see what happens. But is there anything? I assume there's nothing else banned.
I don't think so, but
so
I don't know what I'm gonna do
straight away.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it after the podcast. We'll have a look into
it. This is good. But then this will be like This will be like 2 weeks old when 1 week old in it when everyone watches this.
Everyone's gonna already be like, yeah, no, we've known this for ages. We've already got the next best.
Yeah. Where and then there'll be comments in the post. Why are you guys so slow?
And you guys will cross over between games. You'll sit here and be like, this is like it's just like banning like the best. It's like they ban Kid Coup like going into finals and also release a new set for it. Like that's basically the comparison point here.
Which is exactly what they should have done this time around in Bandai.
True.
But no, I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna go back to the point. I think with the French event, I expect all the communication to be in French. But so I'm wondering, me personally, like how that will be, because obviously, like say, if I go Spain events or if I go Germany, anything like that, it will always be in English. Obviously, they'll sometimes also say it in Spanish or German or whatever. However, English is the official game language. Where with this being French, I don't even know if how we need to do the deck lists, if we need write it in French. I'm probably going to try and do both. I don't know if that's possible, but I don't really know.
I think you'll have English-speaking judges there.
Yeah. We will.
Yeah,
We'll be able to talk
it
you
will
through
be okay, I'm sure. And I think
Yeah.
decklists are done on Bandai TCG Plus.
Oh
so we just do
yes,
it
they
online.
are.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You are. We got to fill in. I think you know what. What's crazy? This is the first event I think I've ever had to use TCG Plus for.
Same. I think so.
Yeah, which is like wild.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to use it
Considering
in
how long we've all
Netherlands.
been playing for.
Yeah. I don't even think in One Piece I've had to do it. I can't think of a time even in One Piece I've had to do it, but I do like the Bandai app for the pairings and stuff. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. So that's our summary there of what the guys are going to be playing in France, and a little bit of a preamble around that as well. Might be a bit more of a lengthy episode, but we're basically going to pass you over to past us as we're in the trenches, going through all of the limited and banned cards in one session, and where our opinions are whether they should come on or off the ban list, or whether they should be errated in any way, shape, or form to come off there. So, really hope you enjoy. Please cheer my fellow co-hosts on over in France. They will be playing right now as you're listening. So send all your well wishes to them, unless you're French and playing in the tournament, in which case,
Yeah,
I
fuck.
hope you lose to one of them.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. You guys go out there and do your best. But afterwards, we will come back and do a small outro. But enjoy previous us talking about band cards. These are some old cards, which is very exciting. It's really firing off the nostalgia for me. The legendary flute. If people don't remember Storm format, this card was a real big cornerstone of that because you could bounce back any of your battle cards with like 3 or less, 2 or less, draw a card for some reason, and you could just keep on chaining down a bunch of Go-Tens that search the top 3 for any card and doing all sorts of nonsense. I don't like the sound of this card being back in today's
We're keeping that banned. For
Yeah,
sure.
There'll be too
Bounce
much.
back
and
your
like,
floodgates, bounce back heroic prospects and defending friends, draw a card. Yeah, that sounds fun, I think.
0 energy as well. It's just dumb. It's silly.
The thing is, so there's a few effects. So yeah, so choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it's cost 3 or less and return it to the owner's hand. If that card was your own battle card. Oh, you or yours. Sorry, I'm trying to read it off the website.
Yeah. You could like do a bunch of erratering to it, but at this point, just bring out like a new card, and don't bother. Like it would just be far too clunky to errata this into a normal position. Heightened Evolution, we've already seen a reprint for, so yeah, just keep it there, banned. Whatever. It's a broken leader. It's a little bit silly. Even the reboot leader nowadays still sees play, and that's a more balanced version of the card. So I think that's a kind of cut and dry case. Child's Wish. If you're in with a Shenron card, choose one battle card 15k or less power and play.
I think it's just too generic. The fact that it can play literally anything 3 cost or less.
Yeah, it'd be really fun to see like how this interacts with the format now. I bet they'll like someone could get in the kitchen and make something crazy with this.
There'd be some dumb shit going on if this came back, but it would be really cool to see at the same time.
Yeah.
What absolute bro?
It's the kind of card that really rewards creativity.
I'm gonna have a quick gander on the best deck building website there is. So let's say 15k, because 15k and 3 cost, right?
It's just a flat 15. Oh no, yeah, sorry, 15k, 3 cost or less. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you
I
could
didn't know
bring
about
back.
15k.
I just wanted to list 1 or 2 cards that kind of like.
You can bring back the little Minosha that like acts as an energy. Is it Minosha?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. No, I think it's Kai.
Yeah.
It is Kai, isn't it? Yeah.
So some big hitters that I can see. So you've got Pan. You know the one. When you gain. That's a big hitter. Prospects pointless. I'm just the other actually. There's quite a lot of Pan cards actually, but
You could bring back the cell that we've just put up to 4 right at the beginning of the
True.
Yes.
for free.
True.
There's the classic bring back Explorer Bulma and Untap 2, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the thing is like you fill your deck with all these like extenders, and then would just become Yu-Gi-Oh, and that would be cringe. So
Yeah, exactly. And like bearing in mind that you can free play this as well.
Ooh, the thingy would come back. The crit Broly. Because that's a 3-drop 15k. This is the one that's got servant. On play it gives your leader overlord. So that would be a decent target for it because you get a free 25k swing and then bottom deck it. To be honest though, even though we're saying this, like I'm looking, obviously there's going to be some combos I can't see at a glance because there's like 9 pages, so I'm not going to spend 9 pages looking through.
yeah,
But nothing is like jumping out as like, oh my god. Like I'm sure there's something.
There will
so,
be some stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also it's one of those cards that limits design space going forward. Like
Our favorite keyword.
you have to think about this card when it comes to printing every battle card that costs 3 or less, which is
Fearless
crazy.
Pan.
Yeah, Fearless Pan. I thought that was the one you meant, to be honest, with the pan.
No,
before.
I meant the other one, the boost one.
Fair.
But yeah, Fearless Pan could be quite evil. But yeah, there's obviously some cards, but with it being a desire card, I mean technically, because yeah, so your leader's got to be a Shenron card. So yeah, we'd rather keep it banned, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
I think this
But,
card is
yeah.
crazy.
yeah. Getting battered by Red Garlic Jr., mate. That's it. It's over.
True.
Are
I
you a
forgot that was
Shenron?
even a deck.
You're a Shenron, mate. Yeah, that's a Shenron leader for sure. I think that's the most like recent, other than the King Piccolo. But I think like the Red Garlic Jr. is the most recent Wish leader that lets you play Desires.
Yeah. It's a weird one.
But people would return to stuff like the original Shenron leader and stuff like that to exploit.
Yeah, definitely.
Bardock the Progenitor.
Another controversial one, yeah.
This is 100% fine. I don't care what anyone says. Because of the new swap rule, I say new, the clarified way you've got to reveal a swap target, this card is perfectly fine. This card should never be banned.
I don't know.
If you have any other opinion, you guys or chat, you're wrong. Sorry. Absolute fucking wrong.
Who wants it first?
Who wants to be wrong
I
first?
don't
Out of
know.
you guys? I'm like hard. Like out of a lot of cards, this is the one that I think is the biggest mistake being on the ban list.
I think I'd be happy to see this come off with the same sort of restrictions as the Trunks of Bandai keeps a very, very close eye on this. Just because I'm scared of what this card can do. I don't know what it does enough.
When it was a menace, you had 10k leaders that wouldn't awaken until turn 4, and you were constantly swinging, untapping with yielding Trunks, depending on your leader and what have you, or beans or whatever, or you were swapping into searching. Like it was a different era back then.
Of
Like
course,
now,
yeah.
okay, I'll awaken, and it's like, oh, okay, what are you gonna do now?
I feel like with the new Goku Gohan deck, like being able to just pull a 1-drop.
That's
the drop.
Fair point. Yeah, that is actually pretty good.
And because that like I mean I know that you've got 1-drop swap guys anyway, but like also being able to like take the life. I think even turn 1, when guys are still sat on their 10k leader, being able to like utilize this to kind of put the pressure in that you need to, the self-awakener to gain the extra cards. And like I see where you're coming from, Pete, as well. Like that doesn't seem that impactful, but I'm not sure. I'm scared. I can't tell you why I'm scared, but I'm scared.
Mate, this card is 5 years old. You got nothing to be scared about.
Pete's bringing us into the light over here.
Absolutely nothing to scared
Granddad
about.
talking about old formats.
Yeah. I was there. I was there. I was there on the day where it was sweeping through everybody. I
Yep.
watched everyone fall to the storm decks. I've seen it happen before. Don't make me see it again.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where I stand on this card. I'd be interested to see what happens if it comes off. I'm also happy with it on the ban list.
Yeah, yeah. It might be a fuck around and find out job, and that could be very scary. But it could be that we're all just so used to saying this card is broken that we kind of forgot what that was about. Cool. I think the next one's going to be a bit more.
Nah, let's just scroll. Keep scrolling.
we can skip this one. This
Yeah,
card
this
should
is
never be in existence.
never ever coming off.
Never seeing the light of day again.
If you thought
What
Power
they
of a
think-
Super Saiyan was busted, wait till you see a 0-mana draw one that stops your opponent playing the game.
I mean, when they even brought out this card in the first place, when people do this to you and then mirror chomper you, and then you're like, "Oh, great, I can't do anything to that." This was gross back in the day. Minus Killy Zone absolutely is not going anywhere. Speaking of cards which are not going anywhere,
Yeah,
Unwavering
nah.
Solidarity Shugesh, way back in the day was a menace. It would still be a menace. You get to play a 3-cost or lower Saiyan from your hand for free.
There's
As a
so many more targets.
There is a horrible amount of targets for this card now. Just
You know what?
Saying.
You know what probably is the best target for this?
What's that?
Annihilator.
Yeah, probably.
Annihilator should be banned in its own right. Never mind.
Literally.
This for free. Nah, we're done here. We're done here.
Speaking of cards that can
Nice
come
little run
off.
at the minute. Bad Ring Laser.
Yeah, now
Yeah,
we can just scroll quite far here, can't we?
If Cooler is banned, this card is banned. Like, very
Yeah.
simply. Xeno button?
Nah.
No. We untapping all of your
Bring it back
energy
just for Blue Bojack, why not? I'll Xeno button, I'll bring in an 8-drop, I'll lead a skill on top 4, I'll bring in an 8-drop.
with your 4 Margin Boo Unison as well. Like, you tap
Come
4
on
for
now.
it, and then you
Come
tap
on now.
untap all of your guys. Yeah,
But it doesn't negate the attack, guys.
Oh, it's the funniest meme, man. Keep on going. Oh, well, it doesn't negate the attack, so what's the problem? Yeah, don't worry about it. I've got another 6 energy to stop your attack doing anything.
Yeah, we have so many more activate battles too.
Mercenary Tau, Ruthless Trainer. This card got banned in what, set 10 is this? From Universal
Yeah, I
Onslaught
think so,
through
yeah.
Set 9 onwards. And it created so many like hilarious toxic loops, didn't it? Because it was like when you discard, your opponent warps 3.
Well, it was like because it was the whole topo thing, wasn't it? So it's like you could
we've
swing
got so
into
much
your
more of
opponent.
that. We've got so much more of that going on now that like every color has some kind of like you need to discard to get through this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it wouldn't do anything to your uneasings and your explosives, but it's just a little bit too toxic to be able to go like. I mean, it would literally nullify any kind of hand control strategy, which some people might be like, yeah, cool, go for it. But
I will say I do want to see some kind of mercenary Tau in existence. I also want to see anti-hand control for warping, because that's something we don't have, and now there's a lot more cards that are warp into discard, namely from black decks, obviously. But like, I feel like I liked when Mercenary Tau existed. I think it was a good card back then. It was only when people started to obviously find out you could abuse it with topo and what have you. So I think those two things. I do think we need a Mercenary Tau or whatever version of it. However, I think it needs to have updated text, and it also needs to be able to add either a separate card. Either we need anti-hand control for warping, and I also think we need a good anti-hand control card.
We need. I've wanted this for ages. We need the little 1-drops that when they're discarded, you play them and draw a card. We just need them printed for every color. I don't know why they're only for yellow and green.
We also need it as an option as well. Because
no,
if
I
it
think
gets
it not being an option is a good
no,
thing.
because the super toxic thing is when the bloody robot
Kotsukai.
Kutsukai, yeah, and then the random discard from your hand, and then
That
you
is
have to
pretty
then
funny,
discard
yeah.
another 2 because you have to play it. So it's like, oh, okay, thanks, guys.
I just play mine on the coins anyway, like an idiot. So I'm not even. You don't even have to hit my Vegeta at random. I'll just try and play it anyway. On the Koitsukai, it's fine.
So yeah, it's safe to say this needs to stay banned because of the way it's worded and because of the way interactions are. But I do think we need to see something for hand control and mostly warping hand control.
Yeah, something like even if it's like something that's just like blanket, like if your hand is like interacted with, I have no idea how you word it, but then you've almost got like I know that like Expert 21 hasn't been on the table for a while, but a lot of people were like, I could side as much like hand control hate against this, and it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
even
it does
matter.
nothing.
But it
Yeah.
was all like bottom decking cards and warping cards. Like it's like if a card is removed from your hand by a skill,
Yeah.
activate this effect, and like even
But then in a
something
way that like uneasing and Topo doesn't, hit it as well.
yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
very tricky to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a really weird wording, but like, yeah, again, Tau would stay banned because we can't errata the card into a state that's gonna fix that. You need to really think about how the new card looks.
Peter's
This
favorite card here.
This card can go suck dick.
Yeah, this card doesn't come off either.
For someone
Big
that lived,
in hand.
someone that played blue during this era and had to deal with this card when decks were killing you turn 3. Turn 2, turn 3. I can tell you, I definitely don't want to ever see this card in existence ever again.
No, you can't. You can interact with it, whereas Tau's got barrier and it just sits there and
You
does its thing.
This is one cost that you can't untap anything.
But it's got no keywords. It's no deflect, no barrier or anything. Just counterplay it, bro. Just
Bojack
counterplay it.
dies the second this card gets unlimited.
Yeah, but you're getting Zeno button though, bro. You get Zeno button, I get TN. Like it's just.
Yeah, but you can't attack with Xenobud because of TN.
Exactly. I wasn't going to tell him that part.
Yeah, it can this card.
Any of these cards which blanket stop a decks from working are just not very good for the game, and they've got a good reason to be.
Not even just a deck, but a color's entire identity and mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can, and it's so blanket in its application that it's not even tied to like one archetype or something. It's just if your opponent's leader is just red or blue, like it's so obviously hateful to a certain color that I'm glad that Bandai kind of moved away from this kind of card design.
Yeah, I don't know why they have such a problem with red. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is weird that this came out. Like say, it's got the same effect for red against red when red has never untapped, especially back then. So it's like, huh?
It's a 1-drop 15k, 20k off and draw in pan.
Yeah, it was. It's weird, and the thing is, like, they never actually did like print like a hard, like I don't know, cards can't be minused kind of thing or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that'd be an interesting card actually. Your card's powers can't be.
Bring that in just before cut finals, guys, please.
And then we play Xanadu.
That would be an interesting card, actually, isn't it? Your cards can't be mine. You can't have reduced power or whatever for like.
Your card's powers can't change, so you can't increase the powers either.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm telling you now, the guy who designed these 2 cards probably also designed Gogeta, SYN, and Mecha Freezer. He was just like, yeah, it's the same dude. He's just like, yeah, no hate for yellow or red. These cards are fine. We just got to stop blue and green from playing. Nah. Speaking of Trunks. This card got banned a while ago, like what, 4 years ago? Almost 5 years ago.
There's a good reason why Xeno Super Combo is only during your opponent's turn.
There's a good
And that's
reason
on a super
it's not
combo.
Bean.
So I'm going to be a bit of a controversial on this one. So back when this was banned, because obviously it was limited before it was banned, I was happy with it as Limit 1. I generally was. Obviously, when it got banned, it was kind of just turning into multicolored world. If my memory is correct, because it was like I think set 7. I want to
From
say
Universal Onslaught pre-release from the look of the French and Italian version here, so that would have been
so. Set
Set
what?
9.
Okay,
Set 9 would
so
have been released, and then this card would have gone.
okay, yeah, because I remember using it in Janimba like set 6. So I don't remember when I stopped using it, but I like I don't know, I like this card when it was limited to 1, and I didn't like that it was banned. I don't know what it, because obviously you got to remember back then the idea of being on your turn with this card was broken because obviously you could extend your plays. Stuff like I think this was banned because of 3-hand. I want to say. But it's like, yeah, let's say you swing with anything, you would do this, and then you could bean and untap more energy, and that would be a whole sort of toxic turn. I don't know how I feel about it currently. I think I would like to see it limited 1. That might be because I was always a fan of this card. Maybe I'm a bit thingy, but I like it. I like the card, man. I think
You're crazy. Honestly,
It's
you are doing anything to get Invoker playable right now.
you're allowed to like the card, but the card is broken.
it's just an untapped 1.
Yeah.
No, just look at me.
Turn 5, I can drop 2 Rival Seekers now.
Only
Ooh.
untap 1 energy on my turn. I think it was Reboot Gohan that probably finally saw the nail in the coffin for this guy.
Yeah, I remember that.
And because around set 9, like I imagine like that deck having access to this card would have been like just unfun, even more unfun than that deck already was. Yeah, this card's got this card can't see the light of day, Pete. I'm sorry, mate. I know I appreciate where you're how much you like the card, and again, like I think it's a really fun card to use, but it's too broken.
It doesn't draw a card. It just untaps 1.
No, come on. It doesn't do too much. It only untaps an energy on my turn. If you
Yeah.
floodgate me, I can't use it. Just negate all their attacks. They can't combo with it.
Yeah.
Bring it back to
Anyway,
form.
my vote is limit 1. So
You have been
You
outvoted.
guys have got to let us know in the comments about this one because this is a controversial take if I ever heard it.
I think it would be like it would be a very strong card. Obviously, when it's limited to 1, it's
A little bit of a fuck around and find out job, eh?
yeah. You could never run that at 4 copies. 100%. I agree on that. But 1 copy, yeah, it's fine.
Speaking of blue cards that should probably never see the light of day.
Yeah, nah. This is
Objection.
fine at 0, I think.
But you
I'm
lose 1 card
objecting
from your
to
hand.
this card coming
Peter's gonna argue for this one back for Beerus Ramp as well.
Oh, could you mate? I'm broken.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, this ain't
Guy you
coming
on
back.
turn 3 get fucked.
Yeah. This can definitely never come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, objection's a silly card, especially in nowadays. Like back in the day when we first had this card, like placing a card from your hand in the energy used to be like actually like kind of impactful because you'd lose a really crucial card in hand. Nowadays, your deck's got like 14 cards in hand. You're like, yeah, bro, pick one of them. I'll put it in my energy. I don't care. Easy one, that is. Are we saying that Terles, the Unstoppable Ghost Warrior, also went in set 10 as well? This went as probably part of like the butchering of the. This probably went a bit earlier than this, some of the other stuff, but like all the Universe 3 Vegex shenanigans. I don't know if this card is as crazy as it used to be.
Am I right in thinking this is dual attack and can discard a card to become 15k for a turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's too strong.
You have to put 2 black cards with a cost of 3 or 7, place them at the bottom of your deck, play this card from your hand. Choose one card in your hand, place it in the drop area on at the battle timing, and it gets plus 5k for the duration of the turn.
I don't want to see that card returned. Or if they
I
did,
oh you go ahead.
errata to hatch. So because it's a Ghost Warrior, it should always have been Hatch's card.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
then the card is unplayable, but
No, it's not. Not in Hatch.
actually, yeah, no, it could see some play in Hatch because it's a dual attack, so
Yeah,
you actually get to swing twice with it.
And you recuperate, which is the most important thing in Hatch as well.
Yeah, I think that would be an appropriate errata because of the whole Ghost Warrior thing. I think outside of the world of an errata, I wouldn't mind seeing what happened if this came back, just because, like, Bewitching Blow does a very, very similar thing. Arguably, it is more restricted because it is restricted to just skillless decks, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing this come back, maybe as a one-off, to see what happens.
I think I just can't see it, but like I just don't. You have to discard like both. It's only once per turn the activate battle.
Yeah.
I think it's free play, isn't it? I think that's always the scary part about it, is when it's like I can free play this guy.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the 15 ramping up to 20 was massively impactful, and you could do it as early as like turn 0 to like turn 1, turn 2, whatever. I'm not seeing it being utterly broken, and I think this might be one where someone needs to like correct me on what the crazy combo is with this, because I remember people discussing U3 cards coming back, but this guy needed to stay banned if the U3 cards were going to come back, and it's like, sure. Yeah, I feel like I probably need to be a bit more educated on it, but I don't personally see a problem.
It's basically because there's a 3-drop U7, U11, whatever it was. So what would happen is you would free play this, discard the U11 that you needed in, U3, that you needed in the drop.
That's it, yeah.
Finish this attack, and then get rid of this to bring that out, and then start. So that's how. Yeah, because you're attacking twice with this. Then you would bring out another. I think it was not sure if it was the crit one. Yeah, I think it's the 3-drop is the crit. So it was a 15k crit, if my memory is correct. I mean, we'll see it in a minute when we scroll up, but because spoiler, the band. But yeah, I want to see this on the ban list, or errata to work only in Hatch. Either one is fine for me.
I'm going to concede to the group there.
I'd be happy to see it come back as a one-of, as a testing waters. I wouldn't mind seeing it as a 4-of, as like... Wait, actually, is the activate main to play itself limit 1 or anything?
Nope.
Okay, then it needs to come back at 1 or have a limit 1 or something on the activate main, and some kind of energy restriction if it were to come back to 4, I think.
Then you may as well make a new card.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah.
But like dropping this card like turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, I think is a bit much. I'd be happy to see it come back as a one-off, or with that sort of errata.
As a one-off. Let's see what it does as a one-off, right?
The thing is, though, you can because 3 to 7, so it helps recuperate cards as well. But yeah.
Okay, Janemba player.
Plan for Destruction is also another card which is very frequently cited in ban list discussions as a card that should come back. It's a plus 10k, and then if you have 7 or more energy, is it, between you and your opponent? Place the card from your drop in your energy in rest mode. My feeling is we've got far too much Zamasu and Goku Black synergy knocking around nowadays. That a 1 energy ramp card with a plus 10k, which, I mean, you don't even need to be your turn right either. You could use this defensively and then ramp an energy and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think this card can come back myself.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion on this, because I think this particular card, because we'll see in a sec, because obviously a lot of the ramp cards and anti-ramp cards all kind of got hit at the same time. Because like if my memory is correct, so I don't really have an opinion on this one, which is weird to say, because I don't know enough about the Goku Black and Zamasu decks to know if this would break them. And what's quite interesting is the fact it's not color locked. So if there was, the obviously the new Zamasu mill deck, technically, if there was a good blue-green combination, this would work in that deck. I don't think it would matter in that particular deck. So yeah, I guess I don't have a massive opinion on it, but I would have to. I think for me to have an opinion on this, I would have to look at what this does for the deck that it can't do currently. So I think I would say leave it on the ban list unless there was nothing it mattered with, and then bring it back.
I think it could make those decks very fun,
'Cause-
but we have to be very careful because every single Zamasu and Goku Black leader has blue checklands, like blue multicolor checklands, like the
yeah,
blue, yellow, blue, green. I don't know sure if they've got a blue green SR, which is a checkland that actually might be a gap in it all, but like easily blue yellow, there is a checkland which is not like color locked. It is just a Goku or Zamasu leader. So like you could even play this off with like the yellow leader and have like a yellow control deck that ramps as well into both yellow blue, which feels pretty obnoxious as well. But like, it's one of those ones where you could bring it back and let all hell break loose with those decks and see if it gives them a new like lease on life. But
yeah.
I think
they
even
could-
going more close-minded than that, I think just in the Goku Black Ultimate deck and the Set 10 Zamasu deck, I think this card is kind of crazy because you already have like temporary ramp, so you can in theory get this card off a little bit earlier, like turn 2 potentially.
yeah,
Especially in the Goku Black because that like has the power to ramp at least once per turn. I think on the Awaken or
No,
Z
'cause-
Awaken turn you can temporarily ramp twice.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
'cause
that's
to be
not
7
include
energy between you both,
yeah.
7 or more.
And that's not including cards that you can then also play to temporarily ramp, which you can use the Goku Black in Goku Black that temporarily ramps you, so you can resolve this on like turn 3 going first, I think. Which yeah, I'm not a fan of just like giving that out for 1 energy. Plus the fact that it's a plus 10k boost, right? Like
Yeah.
I think yeah, probably leave it banned.
I think those decks are not bad enough to get their own ramp card.
Yeah, I think it could be something that pushes those two decks in particular over the edge that you've mentioned there. So
Yeah.
fair point, very fair point.
If I'm honest, these next two we could lump together because they do the same
They are
thing.
the same, right? Yeah.
They're only on the ban list to stop ramp decks.
Yeah.
Another silver bullet kind of thing. I mean, Forced
Yeah.
Ejection, Mass Saiyan, and Begrudging Respect Piccolo, they both fought. I mean, Forced Ejection in particular formed the core of that. The yellow Vegeta like energy tax deck that like keep on nuking your opponent, like ramp your opponent, nuke their energy, don't let them get past like 2 energy. That crazy deck. I don't know. I don't think either of these guys are these like massively impactful nowadays, or I mean, they might help kind of curtail a few of the ramp strategies in blue, but I feel like those decks kind of need the ramp to be playable. So, and
The
how much
problem
do we care
is
about them?
it's not just ramping. Like if my memory's correct, I'm gonna read them now. Like stuff like Zeno triggers it because it's when your energy has been moved. I think when you let's have a look. Because what is it? Yeah, if you have placed blah 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 and you have less. I know these are slightly different ones I'm thinking of.
Yeah, these are the ones that if you have less energy than your opponent. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna opt for these to stay banned because it
Yep.
kind of
That's a fair point. I think these cards like because these are the ones where you can like skip charge basically. lol, big plug. And and you can like basically like use that as a way to just like, especially if they're doing stuff like Zeno and stuff, you can just keep them locked out of the game from like
Yeah.
getting past a certain energy point, which sounds pretty obnoxious, and someone will have a way of making this work.
Plus, if
Talking
there's
about
ever a way to
obnoxious.
cheat them in, like,
Yeah, and one of them's just an overrun for one, right? Which is crazy.
oh
They-
yeah, I mean, I didn't even see the overround part on that card.
yeah, but like forced ejection was ridiculous back in the day.
Yeah,
As if the Piccolo's got barrier. What the fuck?
Yeah, just sit there. Like, this guy didn't even do anything back in the day. I don't think. I don't think people like. I think they
No.
used it as like a bit of a sideboard card, against ramp. But this was the card that just kept on like, like the yellow Vegeta deck just had a way of like bouncing this. It might have still been with like before they got rid of Flute as well or something like that, because they could just like play this guy, bounced him back with like Flute or something else.
Oh no,
and then-
no, this was different eras. Because Flute also, I think, only adds back blue. Oh no, your leader's got to be blue for that one.
Flute they didn't get rid of for like, we only got bans like when did this, I mean, I'm just gonna quickly go down.
Yeah, Flute's burn.
2019. I don't know what set that was, to be fair, but I felt like it was a few like sets before they started getting stuff.
It was definitely before set 5, because Janimba didn't have to deal with that in set 5, so it
Yeah.
was set like 4, I want to say, or coming into set 5.
I think it's like explosive power Vegeta, and it was like a draft box leader or something like that. It was just some like dumb combo where you just locked your opponent out of energy. It was a little bit silly. And then the Piccolo was like a side deck card against ramp decks, but also just kind of got hit at the same time as this guy because no shenanigans, please. Violent Predator.
this card
No,
can't come back. No.
It cannot
Mate,
come back.
this could come back, mate. No problem.
Yeah,
Android 21. Let's go.
Yeah,
dude.
drop it like turn 3 or whatever it is.
Well, the guy
3,
came out
4,
in that-
5. 10, 5.
Yeah, but well, if you no, because
correction.
the ramp is
It's
gone.
5. It's 5 energy, isn't it? So, I mean, 5 Pacific. So you could use 5 from your opponent, and then you pay the other.
I mean, it depends how many battle cards and Z battles you've got, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless they were to, I mean, even if they did something to the 21 leader and banned that, I don't know,
Choose
this
all
card
your
just
pens.
can't. This card,
Even does the battle cards as well. I didn't realize
yeah,
that.
like this was in an era where multicolor decks were everywhere, so they printed this card to force more people to play multicolor decks, and then set 10 came along and they were like, no, we're going back to monocolor. That stinks now. And then everyone couldn't go back to monocolor because they'd get violent predators. So they were like, oh yeah, we kind of need
Yeah.
to retrospectively sod that card off.
How insane is that though? Triple attack as well. It wasn't even just like a single. It was triple attack on it. So it's like I kill all your energy, all your battle cards, basically. Like I remember when people used to play that against Hatch. It's like
I played Hatch during that period.
Yeah.
It was not fun.
It would just be like, oh, okay, I guess I scoop now, right?
Oh, you got to that amount of energy. Fair enough, mate. You got me.
Yeah.
Gogeta Hero Revive. I saw that Damien was like kind of doing a very similar topic to what we were doing from the lookout, and was saying that this card could come back with some kind of errata. I'm far too biased. I had some horrible memories of Gogeta Hero Revive back in the day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see this card touch the light of day.
I don't ever remember getting hit by this card, but I used to play decks completely built around this card, like the Gogeta ramp deck and Shenron. And yeah, no, this card cannot come back.
There was something, because like it was so toxic, because like you had to shuffle in your hand and draw a random 3 card. It wasn't even like perfect for sell where you had like, okay, well, I'll go down to 3, but I get to pick the cards to stop you killing me. Like you just shuffled up, pulled a random 3 cards. As soon as this card came down, you just knew it was over. And like they played this in the like they gave it barrier as well. They played this in the Shenron decks and then gave it critical. and then triple attack with the leader, and then you were just like, oh, okay, cool. I go from 8 to 0 straight away with a 3-card hand, and I don't get to see any cards off my life. Cool, bro.
Yeah.
Toxic as hell. This
And
card.
it didn't even affect your hand as the Gogeta player. It affected your opponent. So even if you couldn't kill him, like your hand is still 10 or 11 or whatever it might happen to be. So like it's not like turning the tide where both players get hurt by it. This fucking thing only hurts your opponents.
Yeah.
And you can't interact. And one thing I will say, and this is for the argument for it, if people wanted to bring it out, technically turning the tide works on this card. Sorry, not turning the tide. Jiren works on this card. Technically. However, there's no downside for your opponent other than critting a life. So Jiren would technically stop you shuffling your hand back into your deck. So
An effect this powerful with triple strike and barrier is wild. I am like back in the day as well. I have no idea what they were thinking. We're done. Off you go. Bye bye. Never see the light of day again.
You three guys we can do in one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Except
together.
for the 2-drop. I want to do the 2-drop separate because I always believed this was wrongfully banned. But
I wonder what his opinion on the 2-drop is, guys.
But it was wrongfully banned.
Yeah, it was wrongfully banned.
Yeah, I think we can just skip over the other U3s because they just stay banned.
Yeah, free play to this level, not a chance, mate.
Let's go to the 2-drop. What's the 2-drop then?
It's just a 2-drop. Now, how many 2-drop cards will you sack off for this thing? Like, fair enough. Before the 13k was decent. Sorry, the 3k was decent. 3k 3-drop. The 4-drop was amazing. The 5-drop was decent because it's double strike barrier. The 2-drop is just a 15k vanilla. I mean, the 3-drop technically is just a 15k vanilla, but there's a lot more 3-drops that this can absorb. Like overarms and stuff. With the 2-drop, there's literally fuck all. Like, there's literally nothing. So, personally, I always thought the 2-drop was wrongfully banned only because there's pretty much nothing that works on it. Because all overarms are at least 3-drops, pretty much, that get used. Yeah. There's very little 2-drops. So, yeah, personally, I think the 2-drop is fine. But yeah, you just ban the whole engine and then just remake a new one, which 4 years later, they still haven't. Yeah. 4 years later, we're still missing it.
Pepperoni got hit at the same time as everyone because it just happened to do the same thing. But I take your point. I don't think it actually was seeing any play at the time. It was just, he's part of this chain. He can free play himself. Get rid. Sorry, Ollie.
I wouldn't... Yeah, I definitely agree with Peter in that. I wouldn't hate to see it come back. Say it's similar to for what I said with the Turles. I wouldn't hate to see it come back at 1 with a very close eye on it. The main issue I have with this card is like you have to go forward thinking about every 2-drop black card that you print, right?
Yeah.
So I think realistically this card probably will never come off along with the other engine, but I wouldn't hate to see it at 1 as opposed to the rest of the others.
Yeah.
And Analyzer, we just tie in with the rest of them, right? Because I think this is a very similar thing where it pulls itself up off a 5-drop.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is also a little bit crazy because a lot of your like premium overarm options can be free played with that. So then you get to put a double strike barrier 25k on the board for free. I don't know what they were smoking when they were making these cards, man. No escape Son Goku. This is the one that stops you from bouncing cards. I'm trying to think of why it took them so long to ban this. I'm trying to remember.
It's because the PyCon deck.
Yes,
that's the reason it was banned, because it was banned at the same time PyCon came out, which was the whole swap stuff. I mean,
it just turns off certain archetypes for really no reason. I don't think it needs to exist.
I think that's the problem
swap as well, right? Oh no, swap is a keyword. No, it wouldn't turn off swap, but
I think that's the problem, right? Anything that is you play this and it's off for the game when it's a 1-drop, for example, especially with deflect as well. I think it's like they're always bad for any game, no matter what you play.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that he even drew one, like, what the hell? So there's like no negatives to it at all. It's crazy. And it's a Goku as well, which very relevant nowadays as well. But yeah, I think I don't think this would necessarily screw up any decks currently, I want to say.
Tapion probably.
Pardon?
Tapion probably. Blue Tapion.
Yeah, it does hurt Tapion. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely body blue Tapion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would stop you bouncing back to get the effects and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's probably it's probably always historically
The 4 copies of
blue
Bewitching
decks.
Blow that we've unlimited.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. This probably only hits blue decks, right? Pretty much. So yeah, it can never come off.
It's real antiquated Bandai card design. This is. It was the like, okay, we're just gonna blanket try and stop a whole mechanic from working for one energy, replace itself, draw a card. Like,
but the thing is, when this card existed, it didn't do anything because you got to think this is TB3, so that's Fiend Booster 3. This is a very old card.
This was their answer to the Flute shenanigans to begin with. Like, instead of banning Flute, they brought out this card as like a, oh my god, just tap
same
one
with
and draw
the
it, they stop that thing.
Same with the time control Cronoa being the answer to Shigesh.
Oh yeah.
So they printed these cards as the answer because I think they wanted to veer away from banning stuff, but then it just became a game of, did you draw your 1-drop? No, you didn't. I'm going to kill you. Oh, you did draw your 1-drop. You killed me. That's unfortunate. Like, really unfun game state.
Yeah.
Master Roshi Kamehameha Origins. This card cannot see the light of day again.
Yeah, exactly.
A tap 1 for any green extra card from your drop. Would you like to have Dormant Potential and Easing played on you more than you already have it played on you in your games?
Mate, this is a balance card. What are you talking about, mate?
The day that Pete is here defending a broken green card is the day that hell freezes over. He is not being serious.
No, definitely not.
Roshi will stay banned. This card can burn in the fiery depths of hell as well, for all I care. One of the worst.
Nah, there's no way you're about to argue this, Peter. There's no way.
Like, single-handedly, the worst designed leader in the game.
We have token negates now.
If you start arguing this point, we're not making another podcast episode.
Hey, you guys should dream of Trunks, mates. Or
you're not out here arguing for unyielding Master Roshi and this leader. Go on, talk to us. What about this leader isn't bad?
No. I agree. This has to stay banned. However, if there was ever a consideration for it to not be banned, we do actually have access to a lot more than we did back then in terms of token negates. I mean, I don't know what it would look like. We've also got the cards that stop your leaders from attacking multiple times. I do think the card should never come back.
Yeah.
Because obviously crit triple is not very nice mechanic. And also with the energy marker now, like even going second wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, this never should come back. However, if there was ever an argument for it, we do actually have more answers now than we did before, but it's still a problem.
Yeah. Like we've got those like negates. They tried to do the thing where they brought out like the negates we use against Meki. They were like spirit boost ones that stop your leader from attacking. Like they were originally printed to stop this leader. And they just realized it was just not sustainable in any way. Like you could build plenty of these like silver bullets in against this, but this leader was like stinky to play against. Like really,
there's a common theme of them printing silver bullets. Oh wait, the card's broken enough to print these cards to counter it. Let's just ban it because it's still broken.
Yeah, Yeah, and like the leader just was like, and like I know that people had a lot of fun playing the leader as well, and absolutely, you guys have got a right to enjoy it, but us guys sat at the other end of the table, and we were not having a fun time. This leader was just like, you just die on like turn 2 or turn 3 to like multiple triple strike crits and self awakeners, and like you play any deck that wants to play the game of Dragon Ball and get to at least turn 3, turn 4, you didn't stand a chance.
Ooh, you know something? Because I was listening, but I also want to check something. Because
Yeah.
again, we're in a different era now. There's actually a Z leader you could put top of it as well. You can put because it's counted as a Gohan childhood. So you could actually use. If I don't know if it costs you 2 energy, but you could go into the double striker 20k. So after you've like attacked twice,
Wait,
could
bursting
even
rage it in. Why not?
oh yeah, or even bursting rage it in. Yeah.
Or the
Oh
Gohan
no, you
Goku
couldn't bursting
SDR,
rage because you're not exact.
You're
You're
not
your 2
exact. Yeah,
characters.
true.
Yeah.
but the
Oh yeah,
Goku
restand
Gohan
your leader
SDR,
again. Yeah.
restand your leader again, swing, it goes to the Z deck and negates your skill. So, like, I'm not sure if the activate main, like, lingers or something, but you could just be like, negate the
Nah,
skill
that
they
would
give
linger,
you
I
to negate.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, because part of the cost. So it's like it's like when you restand, that's it. You're dead at the end of the turn. However,
The
you are
extra
right.
triple strikes.
The amount of swings you could get in that turn would be quite strong.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a no to this card. We spent a long time saying it, but it's a no to this card.
Yeah.
um, Pan Great Ape Whisperer was part of the stop heartfelt plea from ruining my games.
And Salzino and stuff.
Yeah. If your life's 2 or less, your leader. I have to like actually remember what this card does. I would just it switches a yellow battle card to active and negates. Yeah, this was
But you
because
only
it's
played it
3
free when
plays,
you were 2 or less.
and you do like the SYN shenanigans with this card, wouldn't you? To like get the Salzino down turn 2, turn 3, and
You know what though? I actually don't think this card's an issue. Right? Because every deck is awakening turn 2. You're
yeah,
not going down to 2 life to awaken.
yeah.
I can see
Nah,
Ollie's face.
no. This card needs to stay banned. No.
What deck? What
Go on,
relevant
Ollie.
deck would this be used in, though?
I think you play this in pretty much every yellow deck. You
You're
just
awakening way
sit.
before 2 life.
Yeah, but oh, I see. Of course, you can only free play
You
it when
have
it's
to,
awakened.
yeah.
But
You
even
can only
still,
get free played.
okay. I
Paying
think
3
you
energy for it,
still
though.
play this. Yeah, I think you can still play this for 3 energy in some decks.
If you're paying 3 energy for it, powered to be fair enough.
Gogeta Secret Rare.
Secret Rare,
Yeah.
But I think if you're paying 3 for this, that's
But
fine.
I think some decks like with the SYN stuff, that would be crazy to have this card back.
I don't think this card is a problem.
I don't think this card can come back. That's nuts.
I think it can come back because every deck awakens turn 2. So
This
you'll
is
never play it for free. And if you're playing 3 energy for something without deflect, I think that's fine.
This is another one for you guys to solve in the comments for us. I think we're very conflicted on this card. I think it could be a big problem. I think there's decks that, although you awaken on turn 2, you'll have a certain deck that will be like Yellow Baby with enough support and stuff like that nowadays. Or if he's like, even if I've got the
Doesn't
choice to
exist.
awaken on turn 2, I can just save it until I have
Are
my
you at 2
awakeners
life?
in place and get myself to 2 life.
Nah.
Still want to have a bullshit combo deck with this, but I'm all ears to it. I'm all ears to it.
You're both delusional. You never wait until you're at 2 life.
I can't wait to see the comments on these videos.
Mate,
I need to see some people call you out on your bullshit, man.
I swear, if they even think about calling me out, I'm gonna ban them all. It's not even my channel.
He's out here brewing his Pan Great Ape Whisperer Goku Gohan leader deck. He's got the broken sauce and he needs it in time for finals, man.
I mean, the only potential bright side is at least it's not color locked on your leader, which is at least something. But no, this is not a good card. But yeah, we'll see what the chat says.
I'm excited to hear what the chat say. Beer's Godly Majesty. This is part of the free play hits, the infamous
Yeah.
free play hits. I don't really feel like the last effect did anything really. It was just the fact you discard and you get to free play him as a 15k attacker.
Yeah.
I don't want this card to come back.
No.
Nah.
The
There's
problem
so
was
many
it
decks
worked-
that's just like discard
Yeah.
draw 2 on your leader or
yeah.
discard on random card effects.
Because that's the thing, right? It worked on your own effect. That's
Yeah.
the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if it was like tied to just your opponent, like it feels like another like. And I'm a big advocate for like hand control disruption, which does or something other than just draw you a card back, like something that does something like like Tau did, where it like warps 3 from their hand, or does like a negative impact for make them discard it. That would be cool as I get this body because you made me discard. But yeah, too many combos get made out of discarding, bringing it back, swinging.
If it was just your opponent's effects, I'd be happy with it coming back. But because it's your own, it's
and it doesn't draw, so it'd be
Mecha Freezer. No, Peter, no, Peter, no. It's not coming back.
You gotta give me one of the freezers, right?
I'm sure we'll get to one of the freezers for you, but just not this bastard, alright?
I mean, what's wrong with a Bloodlust turn? Yeah, nothing, mate. That's what's wrong.
This card was everything that was wrong about Bandai's card design in this era, and like quite damaging towards like the state of the game, in my opinion. Like this was, I love the idea of them trying to bring back cards in a more balanced way, but they were at the time horrible at it. Like they either made it completely unplayable or they made this shit. Like it really wasn't thought out. The U6 stuff was like the U9 stuff was just honestly bullshit. Like this deck drew too many cards, it did too many things. Any cost reduction for extra cards that are that powerful, no bueno. Out of here, gone.
Would it be that bad nowadays?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I've got a fun pop quiz about this card. Unless you guys have any more opinions to share.
I've got a fun one, but we'll see if yours is the same as mine.
So there was a silver bullet card printed for this. Do any of you remember what character it was?
There was?
There was.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Something about cost reductions.
I've got a follow-up question afterwards as well.
I don't remember.
So there's a Rebellu black. That's when your opponent uses the activate main skill on an extra card for a reduced cost. You can either force them to pay the original cost or do something else.
What?
And it's genuinely not a bad sideboard card against Meki because they play a 1-drop activate main ball for 0.
What cost is it?
1-drop Rebellu. And I think it activates in the drop for its skill. Now, follow-up question. Yeah. I believe this is one of how many cards that is not an extra card that can activate at a counter window timing. I think I know the answer, but I'm not 100% sure myself.
The 5-drop Bloodlust as well.
The red freezer.
The red freezer, because that
is one. Okay, then I've got the right answer because
it's an auto that's counterplay, but it's an auto, so it doesn't.
An auto that can be activated at counterplay timing.
Yeah.
But technically, the auto shouldn't work until it's mind blowing.
So you guys think 2?
I would only say 1.
Well,
no, because the Rebellu is 1. The Rebello
Yeah,
activates a counter window
if your
timing.
opponent has three or less energy, and you place this in the owner's drop from your hand or battle area, so that's the cost. When your opponent activates the active skill on an extra card original cost of 1 or 2 that doesn't have a keyword or special trait from your hand without paying its energy cost, they may pay the energy cost.
Oh,
of
it
that
wouldn't
card.
work on the Mechie Ball then, because that must have the Dark Dragon Ball tag. Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, but it would work against like Nimbus or something like that, for example.
Well,
If
that's
they
not
don't
an
draw
activate
two.
main skill.
Yeah.
It is to me. But yeah, you're right.
That's how I play. Nimbus, you want to activate main?
That's still really like, you know what? It's like I've played this game for so many years, and I've looked at the database so many times, and I didn't even know this card existed. It's crazy.
I think there's a third card that isn't an extra card that has the text that it can activate at a counter window timing. And for some reason, I have the opinion that it's the 6-drop freezer in black, but I don't really remember why. But I'm pretty sure there's a third card in general.
Let me have a look, because like I say, I know the Bloodlust, which is the 5-drop.
Yeah, the 5-drop is definitely one of them.
And then technically this one is one of them as well,
Mm-hmm.
the 1-drop. So this one, when a card, the 6-drop freezer.
That's like a freezer Xeno.
Yeah, but I can't remember why I think it's that, because I'm pretty sure it just evolves and warps a guy.
Yeah. When a card evolves into this, randomly choose 2 of your opponent's.
But I'm pretty sure there's a third card for it. I don't remember what it is.
This is a crazy pop quiz.
Yeah, we can move on. I really love that Rebello card because it's such an obscure one that they printed.
It's a cool card. I like it.
Yeah. Guys, let us know in the comments what that third counter window timing card is that I'm thinking of, because I'm sure there's another card that has that effect.
There'll be more of them for sure, because it was another time of like, they basically go, I want this card to work in this way, just put it on the card, bro, and that's how they...
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it still feels weird, the more I think about the 5-drop freezer, is the more weird it is, because it is an auto.
Yeah.
We're bringing back red swap freezer, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Continue with the task at hand.
So our next pair, Bardock the Resolute, Son Goku Power Legend. I feel like these two guys both just kind of go together as free play, which is unnecessarily good. The Bardock restands on a counter skill being activated with double strike 15k. The Goku gets to play itself when you discard a card. That's it, like generically in green.
Yeah.
Say no to free play.
Yeah, these can never come back.
Yeah, these cards suck.
Imagine the thingy as well. Imagine like Bardock. I know, fair enough, Skill Coup doesn't really need more pressure, but it's like just a free 15k double. Sweet.
Yeah.
Silly cards.
More bundles of free play to come up.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I think the Tau again is just completely unnecessary. The Bell mod is completely unnecessary. Like this is probably like just the easiest stay banned card ever on the list. Like
it gets around unique as well for like the Omega Triple Strike or thwarting back in the day.
20k is still super relevant nowadays as well. Whereas these guys, you could make an argument for 15k not being as impactful on the free play side of things, but
blows up the token negate blocker as well on play.
Yeah. Utterly ridiculous cards. On to things we can actually probably talk a bit more about. Violent Rush Bojack. Very, very common card to come up in ban list discussion. Should be errated to a Bojack Brigade leader. I think we're all fairly in agreement that as a generic blue-yellow tool to draw a card, Aegis, with Barrier, is a little bit egregious. But I don't know, build it into its own archetype.
Yeah,
just limit the arrival or the Aegis skill to be Bojack if your leader's a Bojack Brigade. I don't see any problem with that. I think that's how the card should have been from the start.
Definitely.
Oliver, is there any evolve yellow Bojack cards that can go on top of this that would be broken? No.
Okay. I think all of the Bojack evolves, the blue and the yellow ones, go over only 3 and 4 costs.
Okay, yeah, that's fine then. Yeah, I think you'd have to limit this to Bojack only leader, and I think this would be fine because obviously this in Gogeta might be a bit broken,
Yeah.
but I think I think outside of that potential deck. Oh, and yeah, because it would be the Gogeta yellow blue. Like I think this would be nutty in that deck. But like, yeah, I think if you limit it to Bojack only yellow, I think this card's fine.
Yeah. I could even see it as just a one of just again to test the waters as a Bojack Brigade only as well. Because there's like quite a significant power level behind Aegis in something which isn't like specifically designed to be able to Aegis. Yeah, like, but again, like I think there's stuff we can do with this card.
Yeah.
There you go. You're expecting more of it. I was expecting more of a debate on it, but to be honest with you, that's we're all pretty much in agreement there, aren't we? It's just
Yeah,
bring it back
Yeah.
to the Bojack Brigade leader.
yeah, because it can never come back as a general. Because only bloody one to rival. That's insane. So
And there's
like
so
that.
much free combo now that gets
Yeah,
put
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah,
This in any other deck outside of Yellow Bojack is insane.
yeah.
Like,
And even in Bojack, like Blue Bojack, it could start. It gives you a new avenue to go down the deck, but it could be pretty crazy in there as well, even as
yeah,
like
yeah.
leader.
I don't think you'd play it in Blue Bojack, but there is always that potential, right?
Yeah. Fuhu Shrouded in Mystery. It is 6 cost. I think this card already proved its point though when it was legal in the format that a 6 cost card that just, you built a board, you slap this guy down, like in the world of Kidku at the minute, that this card would be even more crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
I don't want
say
this card back ever.
I would say if you asked me this probably a year ago, I was probably happy with this card coming back. Because it's so costly and there's ways, but I think nowadays because of everything costing less, then there's also scenarios with the Gogeta secret rare, you could drop that and then drop this behind it. Stuff like that feels pretty good, right?
Beast Hand
Um,
and then restand 2 and drop this.
yeah, yeah. There's so many things. So I think this can't exist anymore. But I do think when it was banned, I think it shouldn't have been banned when it was originally banned. But I think nowadays it's fine. I think it needs to stay banned.
Yeah, I mean, I think the really obnoxious thing about this card was like, not only does it shut off their entire like response to anything you're doing, but then their whole next turn they can't do anything either. Like,
Yeah,
sure, if it's like used as a bit of a kill shot thing that gets you around certain things, that bit is bad enough in itself. But then the fact that if you survive the turn, you're still not allowed to play the next turn, and you just have to pass
yeah,
back over and just get killed anyway. Like, as soon as it came down, the game was over. So something to that power level, even on 6 energy, probably shouldn't exist.
yeah,
Unrelenting Assault Trunks. I think there's probably a bit too much now that keeps on adding this card back for like the free advantage that it is. It did get banned for the Gogeta Xeno deck, top 5ing and getting this guy and just getting yourself kind of like more draws and advantage than you needed.
yeah.
Um, it's not a great card by any stretch of the imagination. Gogeta Xeno doesn't see a lot of play, but I just feel like there's a lot more like when this card is sent for the warp from the battle area or deck, add it to your hand. Like I don't know if we've got more warp cards from the deck
Set
that make it
18
fun.
Shroom Salsa, baby.
Where there you go, done. It's out of here.
You can also just like play the 1-drops that warp the top couple cards of your deck in, I think, any black deck or at least any Demon Realm race. But yeah, I think this card is like, it's not the biggest offender ever, but it's annoying enough to stay on the ban list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not broken. Like there's nothing. It's a 15k, but under certain decks, it's just free value.
Yeah, I think I can agree on that one. Like, I don't care enough to bring it off the ban list. So
Yeah.
there are cards, however, that I do care enough to bring off the ban list.
Yeah, definitely. Both me and you are on the same page of this one, brother. I don't
Self
know. I don't know if
protection.
Ollie's.
Cell Perfection surpassed. Like, I love my Surge leaders. This is my favorite leader in the game, pretty much, bar like maybe Green Cooler, but even then it's pretty even. I understand why this was the card that had to go, back when Cell Surge was at its heights, and back when we had the Victory Strike stuff. But honestly, what does this leader do nowadays? Which is like, I mean, I think it's got some really powerful effects. And again, with Surge leaders, we have to go back through and look at all of the cards they've released, which say, "Is your leader green? Is your leader yellow?" Which might, you can play stuff like Bardock Negate in this deck now and stuff like that. But I just I don't think it would be that problematic.
No.
And maybe my heart is taking over here, but the Crusher Ball effect is like a really powerful, like kind of like anti-aggro tool. I think Kidku would still absolutely run over you because you just don't get going quick enough. But maybe there's enough generic green and yellow tools on each side to make it actually a big problem that I'm not seeing. But I don't care.
Yeah, I think Cell is perfectly fine. It could 100% come off the ban list. Because if you remember, Cell's hand was shit. Like
Yeah.
you would have to use the effects of obviously the 9-drop helped it massively to keep a hand up.
Yeah.
But like Sal's hand, especially if you compare that to the decks nowadays, this is not doing anything. The only good thing about this leader is the Crusher Ball effect. That is it. Like outside of, because don't forget, it never plussed on the top 5 searcher. Yeah, top 5 searcher is great, but you still got to discard a card. And back then you were discarding, like the Goku that you pay 2 draw to, sure, or pay 1 if you ran the other one. But like, you're not doing that nowadays. You don't have access to Dormant, so you only have access to Nimbus. You don't have access to token negates. So okay, so you're doing Nimbus as your floodgate. You're not a Saiyan, and then any potential battle card floodgates. Like, it's not good, man. It's really not. I think the crushable effect is very good, but it's not a great leader. You could actually thingy evolve on top of it, right? Z leader.
I was gonna say there is a Z leader for this deck now, hilariously.
Yeah, so
Makes
you
me want
probably
it
have
more.
so you'd probably build it with effects that say if your leader's green, then, because what you'd probably do is, again, spitballing. You would use all the yellow cards that don't require you to be a yellow leader. Go multicolored, obviously yellow green. Use all the cards that require you to be a green leader, and then you could Z Awaken. And then if you had Dormant, you could technically use Dormant, but obviously you can't use Dormant prior to that. So
I actually agree.
Yeah.
I am in agreement that I think the crushable effect is insane. I think the fact that it doesn't plus anywhere on the leader is what really makes the deck or the leader potentially fair. I'd be happy to see this come back, and with a sharp eye from Bandai, just in case things do go awry. But I would
think
be.
they need to do that.
Well, the crushable effect is toxic enough that I think they do. If it does start becoming stronger, it's a very oppressive effect to have on a leader.
But it's only twice in the entire game. Like,
yeah, it's still insanely strong for an effect that you get twice.
It's a floodgate effect you don't lose any cards to do, which like
Exactly,
every
yeah.
do. So I do get it.
But yeah, no, I'm happy. I'd be okay with seeing this card come back.
Actually,
it's a fuck around and find out card.
Yes.
Do we have? Because there's some cell cards now, isn't there? Where do we have any cell cards that can go underneath your leader now? Because that would allow you to use your ability more than
don't think
twice.
No,
I don't think so.
Like
no.
they all go under your leader.
Oh, to the
Oh, no,
Android
the
17 and
one drops.
18s. Yeah,
The
we
one
all thought of
drops.
that in the same moment there.
Let me check for the people at home. Let me check, because if they go underneath a mono, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, it does mono green cell.
Okay,
mono
nice.
green cell. Okay.
Yeah, I feel
Okay,
like
panic over, guys.
Surge was still around then, so like I feel like they had to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as there's no other
No.
way of like doing that and like
Okay.
kind of abusing the system with it, like this like I think it not getting direct card advantage back in the day was far less impactful than it is now, where decks can draw like 4 or 5 cards a turn. Like now, you well and truly get behind in the game, and you can't afford to spend
Yeah.
2 energy drawing 2 with a draw ape. So that no longer matters as much. It was just I always loved it back in the day. When I first read the card, I was like, top 5 for anything is absurd. And people were like, yeah, but you don't plus, you don't draw a card. It's shit. Wah. Unlucky, mate.
You know the way I think you would play it? I think you would use again, I haven't read the see if they all are mono only, but I think you would run it with the actual the the green yellow multicolored stuff, since they play from deck and stuff like that, and then
Yeah.
with the unison you could draw. So I think, again, I haven't read the cards recently, but I think you would play that engine, because then you're not losing cards from your hand to play battle cards, and you can top 5 search the cards you need and put in the drop the cards you need to go underneath your cells.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm happy with that coming back. Cards that I'm not happy about coming back. Fighting against fate.
Fighting against fate.
Admittedly, I think this like guy got himself banned at a time where you could like send Houdini in and untap a lot of your own energy in your own turn to make him like super oppressive. But 25k dual attack is still like in today's standard for free is just a little bit too much.
Yeah, this card can't come back.
Bardock can't come back at all.
I feel like this is a card that Gogeta fans love to come back to. Marvelous Might. I have really bad memories with this card again. Like the fact it had barrier for some reason just meant it could stick itself on the board, and then it would ping itself off into like the Goku and the Vegeta, and then they'd both get like pumped up by like the Pycon unison, and then you just get like slapped about. Like, I don't know about this card, to be honest. I feel like Gogeta Xeno isn't much of a thing, but this card still feels very powerful for one, like what it does.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of this card coming back. Can I double check? Does this bring back any black 1-drops, or does it have to be Goku and Vegeta?
No, it has to be Gogeta Xeno and Vegeta Xeno.
Yeah.
1 costs.
Cool.
From drop area or warp.
Yeah.
Even so, I think this card... Yeah, I think I always found this card really problematic in Gogeta Xeno as well. And I think, I don't like the idea of this coming back. It would be pretty good in Vegeta Xeno, at least.
Yeah.
See, I kind of don't. My initial reaction is I don't mind it. It's only a 1 cost 20k barrier. I don't know. Like, I mean, I remember the deck. I remember what Gogeta could do. But this is in a different era than we're in now. And for 1 energy, 1 energy 20k, that's all it is. And no one's going to be using PyCon over like Z Unisons, I think, personally, because of the counterplay. So I'm not really worried about PyCon buffing, because that was kind of like toxic. Your 1-drops would end up being like, what, 25, 35k, some shit like that. With the PyCon, your leader skill. So, and then obviously if you took life on swing. So if I'm honest, I'm on the air of caution where I think this card could be okay. So I would probably like to see it change the limit 1 and see what happens.
I wouldn't hate limit 1 for this, yeah. That's
I can
fair.
see it. I think the one thing that I didn't like about like the Goku and the Goku Xeno coming out is that true fighting spirit, which made you like discard or warp a card whenever you played a counterplay.
Yeah, but remember the thingy one's unique now. The counter one, at least.
Yes, yeah. Like that's the thing is like that's unique now, so you can't just flood the board with them.
Yeah.
I think I could see like a limit one and see it come back and see what it does. Or like yeah, like limit one and bring it back to one and see what the one copy is doing for them and see if like they draw that
Yeah.
one copy and go absolutely to town on you, or whether they draw that copy and it doesn't mean anything, and then we can nudge it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think it feels like it could be okay.
There is a silly amount of King Piccolo cards on this list. Piano Reign of Terror. When they did their first run of bans for like when Drum and Piccolo Junior Unison went, Piano went next. This was like the main draw engine of the deck.
Yeah.
Again, like I don't know, we're gonna end up with like a full strength King Piccolo deck back, but I don't see. There's no protection to this card as well. I
Well,
don't.
kinda is.
Yeah,
It's got its
you'd have
own,
to kill it twice.
Yeah.
yeah, because it's got its own like flip it face up
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
life protection in it. But um, I don't. Yeah, this is one I'm more on the fence about than I am about like Drum and the Piccolo Junior. Just because of the amount of like, because you can now draw in your turn, your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
I feel like this might be a bridge too far. Like, I don't think this guy comes back either. But I feel like this might have just been the hit they needed to make in the first place.
I
Um,
think in general, a general rule of thumb of giving a deck like King Piccolo where it free combos and also free plays cards, or in general just plays cards from an area that isn't your hand, giving that kind of a deck draw power can be really dangerous.
we've already seen it as well. Like we saw how much of a bloody pain it was when that deck had this level of draw power, and it had even when it had Drum at 1, it still had Piano at 4, and it was still a
Yeah,
menace. So
exactly.
like,
And
I
like,
think
sure, you have to pay one for this potentially like every turn or every other turn, but with the fact that you're then drawing 2 cards in a turn cycle, and you're free playing this stuff, so you don't even really have to use your energy. It doesn't matter that you pay one. I
Yeah.
think this card can stay banned.
I think so as well. I think, especially if the other cards came off or unrestricted, I think this is the. I think I would rather like hit their draw power, especially in this era, because other decks, what would happen is it's like they would outdraw the Piccolo nowadays. So even though you're free playing your little 15Ks, they're going to be playing 30Ks.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think Piano stays on the ban and allow the other cards that we've mentioned to come back.
definitely. Um, King Piccolo, the new ruler, is another free play
Yeah,
50
nah,
play
that's
blue
fine.
That
card.
stays gone. That that
Yeah.
motherfucker stays gone. Like there's
You
no
do have
way in
to have a
hell.
unison card with 3 or more markers on though.
Oh yeah, baby
Yeah, that's
Unison.
tough to
Hello.
do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now we can get them out of the Z deck as well. So
Yeah. Literally any
Yeah.
red deck could run this, not really caring.
yeah, absolutely. Even when it was at, like, I remember they put it to 1 and it was at 1. It was just such a sat card. It was horrible. So no, thank you. Heartfelt plea. Anybody? Any takers for heartfelt plea?
No, I think
Nah, this
especially
can stay
now that
banned.
30Ks are more common now than before, and you're always awakening turn 2. I think you can't have this card in existence anymore.
No, it's far too generic now, isn't it? It does
Yeah.
too much. Um, that was a pretty
Right.
easy one. Hey
Shout out to
Shenrata.
Gogeta Sin format.
Yeah. So here's 2 of the casualties of Gogeta Sin. Um, Literally, we put both of these guys back to 4 and keep the leaders banned.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? I don't think they do anything
Yeah.
outside of their
I mean,
decks.
this guy places a cracked Dragon Ball if your leader is just a Shadow Dragon, so cool, mate. But like literally, the crit effect and everything is tied to a red Shadow Dragon leader. So bring it back to 4, reinvent a red
I
Shenron leader, which is terrible. Like,
Nah. We keep because the problem with this card is when you had a Mega with triple strike, and then you would discard this from your hand no interaction whatsoever, and then give it crit. Nah. This.
You've got to have a red Shadow Dragon leader to do
Yeah,
that.
but if we're bringing a red like if there's going to be one in the future, like, because in theory we're going to keep the leader banned. Spoiler alert. So at some point in existence, there should be a red SYN again, and then this can give any of them. So, like, imagine even a stronger unit. I personally would prefer to keep this banned just because I don't like the fact I can discard this from my hand to give crit. If it was battle area only, I would be okay with that because you could at least interact with it.
Yeah.
But the fact it's hand, you have no interaction whatsoever. Nah,
So
I
what we're
want to keep.
saying,
I want this to be
in terms of future proofing, we keep it banned,
yes.
but it doesn't really matter right now.
Same
No.
with this guy probably as well. We're digging
Yeah,
deep as like,
definitely.
in case they bring us a red Son Goku GT, Vegeta GT leader, which interacts with the old stuff. We don't need them beating their leader up to 30k after they've SCR'd. So
Yeah, nah.
big on with you.
Let's talk about a card that can come back, right? Especially as I've just gotten
What
my
on
Unison
earth?
in Invoker.
Which card are you talking about? 'Cause all I can see is SS Trunks God Sealing technique on the screen, and that card's definitely staying banned.
Nah, mate, just in time for my Invoker Unison. I get this card back.
They turn to Invoker Unison with God Sealing technique
And Yamcha.
and Yamcha. You can only do one though, bro.
Oh no.
Nah, this card's like, especially with the way the game is designed now, where you're not seeing deflect on the big bombs as much because they don't have direct counterplays for them being printed. This card would like just body so many decks off the bat.
Question though, playing devil's advocate.
Oh yeah,
Because when this card came out, you were paying high cost for cards compared to now.
yeah,
We have obviously free. Fair enough. It's the strongest out of all of them. Let's not get that mistaken.
yeah.
Is it so bad as a one-off to the point, like, when we compare everything else? So obviously every color has one-off, and this is clearly the strongest one. But because cards cost a lot less now, like 1 energy, 2 energy, compared to like, can this come back to limit 1 just because I want to use it in Invoker, but also because why not, right? Or give blue a free, so remake this card and do it 5 or less or 6 or less, right? We don't
Yeah.
have one in blue, so they're the two. That's what I'm going to propose. You either change this to limit 1, limit 1, so you can only pack 1, or you bring out a new version of this card that works like the others, and it's maybe 6 or less, but it bottom decks the card and not puts it back to the hand. That would be what I would want on the new one, because obviously this adds it back to the hand. It's like, it's not.
I don't want this card back to 1, but I'd be happy to see a new version and then immediately limit that to 1 before it came out.
Yes, yeah. It would have to be limit 1 on release.
Yeah.
Unlike the black counterplay.
Yeah, unlike the black, because that's fine, right?
Sure.
I agree with that one for sure. I think if you were to bring it as what it is now back to 1, it becomes like a sacktastic card, and it's not just a case of like Yamcha and Frieza, where like even Frieza feels like a bit of a oh shit, he got the one of, but Frieza kind of it has certain things that it targets. It doesn't stop any of like the big like top end of your deck from playing because of the way they've designed it. Whereas because they've not been designing the game around Trunks, your loads of decks like big bombs that they'll pay excessive amounts of energy for later on in the game will get stopped by this, and you've had more time to draw into it, and blue has an easier time establishing its unisons as well. So all of those factors together, I keep this banned. Let's reinvent it and give blue a one of counterplay that uses a unison.
I thinking about it also as well. When you think I actually changed my mind from limit 1 to keep it back, because one thing I forgot with this card, you actually discard it. You never play this card.
Yeah.
So technically, there's no interaction with this, where at least Freezer and the others, there's some potential interaction, like Bloodlust or something.
Yeah.
This has 0. So for that reason, yes, I'm going to change my mind and say keep it banned. But Bandai, I would like a new one, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And if there's anything like the black one, you'll get 4 copies of it off the bat to mess around with.
I know. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Look at these 2 cards. They're staying banned.
I
Look at
was
these
so
2.
happy when they got banned. I've wanted them banned for
Yeah.
years.
I'm still happy they're banned.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really am.
They definitely stay banned. 100%.
Absolute cheesiest cards in the game. For those of you
Yeah.
listening, Hidden Power is Supreme Kai, Further Destruction Chomper, Double Striking Anything is toxic as hell, and they should stay banned.
I want to see the Sal one added on here. The
The
Jiro.
Jiro, yeah, the Jiro should also
I
go
would
as
be
well.
happy with that as well, yeah.
That's a lot of, and especially because it's tied to like elite, like
A
it's
crit
like
leader.
A crit leader.
a leader that gains
Mate,
crit.
what is
like,
going on with that? Yeah.
like, silly things. Like that's what got like Gohan and Goku gone, man.
Yeah.
Leaders with multiple strikes and crit. Crimson. I think Blue has progressed too much in its generic goodness for this guy to stick around. And just in general, for like, even if this card wasn't great, but like, still, if you had to play in that particularly boring play style around this leader, I'm happy to just see it banned for that reason. That it's boring as balls to play against.
I'm gonna jump in here because from the look on Peter's face, he looks like he's about to do some devil's advocate shit. So you guys who are watching don't know this, but initially we planned to, and we mentioned it in the last podcast, initially we planned to pick one card that we wanted to come off with an errata potentially, or just come off in general, and one card that we wanted to never ever come off. This was going to be my pick for never ever bring this card back, please. And I'm just going to let Peter talk and completely ignore everything he says now.
Why are you doing this to me? No, what that Luke was, I was like looking and thinking, would it be so bad nowadays? Like, would it be so bad? I mean, I don't know. Like, it draws 1, untaps 1. It activate battle is obviously really good. But it's like, it doesn't get a lot of cards, right? So...
It got loads of cards, what do you mean? It draws 3 on Awaken.
Yeah, but after that, though, it's only like...
Draw 1 on tap 1, and then also draw 1 on tap 1 once per game. Also, you get up to 5 free 2Ks, which is effectively draw 5, by the way. And that's all Z energy. Oh no, it's not Z energy, it's not Z energy.
No. I don't know. I would like to see what it could do.
Oh.
So I'm not going to say...
It could even be more than draw 5, because it has the in-arc type guys that then combo themselves when they get detached. It can be potentially draw up to like 10 off that activate battle in terms of card economy.
Yeah.
With all the tools that Blue now has, I have to agree with Ollie.
You can't ever bring this. It's so generic.
But you have to
I will die on
less
this. This
life.
leader is disgusting.
But you have to be 4 less life.
Yeah, so I'm gonna sit there and not hit you and drop Turning the Tide. Like, it's just not fun, man.
I would like to see what the deck could look like, right? So I'm not going to say unban it, but I'd like to see what a deck would look like as Crimson. So I'm going on a fence approach, right? I'm not saying unban it, but I'm not saying it has to stay on the ban list.
The thing is, I like this kind of discussion because it's like, I know that the obvious answer is that this card should not come back, and I'm very much in agreement it shouldn't, but unless people are willing to kind of sit up and go, look, why are we saying this shouldn't come back? And then we discuss the reasons and go, yeah, that makes sense. Like, people will just believe that the cards are broken in like 20 sets time, and then these cards will just stay here. And the whole purpose of what we're doing here is figuring out why these cards have stayed here for so long, right? So
yeah,
as much as I don't agree with that, I like that you're still kind of thinking about what we could do with with Crimson and what it would look like.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the time we do full. Like, there's some obvious ones that can never come back, like minus Killer Zone. Talking about what Ollie, that was my card to never come back because I think it's dumb as hell.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think Bardock could come back. But like, and I think with Crimson, because sometimes I think, yeah, there is. Maybe I'm wrong in what I'm thinking, but I think a lot of the time we think about like how good that deck was. Cell Surge is a prime example in my eyes.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers what a beast of a deck that was, right?
Yeah.
But I generally believe it would not see play if it came out today. I
Yeah.
generally believe that. You would only have people that want to play Sal that would play it. And that's what makes me think about like the Gogeta 6 drop we just had a conversation about. I remember, well, that was the triangle format, wasn't it? It was Cell Surge, Gogeta Xeno, and what was the other one?
Icarus? Yellow Icarus?
Was it Icarus? I thought that was a different time.
I think it was Icarus.
Was it? Was it that three? I
Yeah, it
don't
was
remember.
Icarus.
Okay. So, like that time, that period of time, those decks were crazy broken, right? So, but it's like, would it be so bad now? And on the conversation of Icarus, because we have so much warping mechanics now and like disruption we could use, like, would Icarus even be so much of a draw powerhouse like it was? Maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe not. But I'd like to see what it could do, and I think that's where that's why maybe I'm blinded. But like Blue's not in the great state, and I would be curious to see what this could do with all the new stuff. But obviously, Ollie Ollie does not want to remember this period of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of emotion that comes up when it comes to this leader, obviously, compared to like a card like minus Killie Zone, which is just obviously broken. But
Yeah.
this for me was one of the most boring times I've ever played Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And that includes Gogeta SYN meta, guys. Like, I hate this leader more than Gogeta or SYN, which is crazy to say.
Yeah. And I think that's like, and it's a really like, we've all had this kind of come up as we've been talking, is that like all of us have got that like, I feel very emotionally about this like certain card and leader from a time. Like, I was a Cell Surge player, so every time a Gogeta Xeno card pops up on there, I remember myself getting like turn 3 murdered by Gogeta Xeno popping off, and I'm like, no, it's too broken. We're not bringing any of it back. And I'm like, it's been about 4 years since I've seen Gogeta Xeno,
Yeah.
it like faced against the deck. So yeah, I think it's always worth the discussion, and hopefully you guys listening are kind of getting that like insight, and you'll also have your own kind of like value attached to certain cards on here, and you'll be like, what do you mean you skipped over Further in Destruction Chomper? That was my favorite alien card in my set 1 deck. And I'll be like, fair play, bro, fair play, but it's not coming back.
Yeah. Never.
Anyway, we're on a pretty lengthy episode, so thank you so much for sticking with us. But we've got a couple more cards that we need to go over. Dirty Burst will very much put Blue on the map in quite a lot of ways. Ollie, you're very used to using this card, and also the next guy on the list, which is the Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 leader. These guys kind of went at the same time. What's our thoughts here?
Dirty Burst, I mean, we've talked about it. Me and Tom have a joke that Dirty Burst did nothing wrong at the time. Nowadays, okay, I mean, Blue has the issue of not having an extra card floodgate. And this card is an extra card floodgate that you have to pay 2 for as opposed to 1, which in Blue is kind of on par with the other colors because it's blue and it untaps. And it doesn't floodgate everything, it just floodgates the big stuff, but it does also replace itself, which is a pretty important part of the card, honestly. I'd like to see this card come back at 1 and see what happens. I think I do. I'm very, very aware that nowadays it is really strong because a lot of the big stuff is 8 cost or more, and that's the impactful stuff. But like you can see it coming. It's telegraphed when they leave 2 energy open, and they have to leave 2 energy open. By the way, guys, it's 2 energy compared to explosive dance and uneasing being free and dormant being free and all that. And you can just play around it. It's not like explosive dance where they explosive dance and then you swing with your leader and they broly you, and then you don't have Z energy for the turn and you just pass. Yeah, I'd be very happy to see this come back at 1 and see what happens. I'm also very aware that it hits a lot of the impactful cards, but that's why we bring it back to 1 and not 4.
I can see you going back to 1. I think the blue generic Saiyan leaders will have an absolute fucking field day with this card. Because I feel like when it went, Gamma kind of accentuated, the issue that Dirty Burst had. Like that.
Yeah, and same with Boo Unison, really.
Yeah, with the Boonison and everything, like kind of made Dirty Burst appear a lot worse, like a lot more of a problem than what it actually was. But like I worry about SS3 and Soul Striker massively when we talk about Dirty Burst, because that 2 energy becomes not an issue and you don't have to make the decision whether you're going to leave the energy up, whether you're not. Like you just get to do it as part of your leader effect and go cool your turn, and you constantly have like a hard floodgate live.
So my opinion with Dirty Burst is because blue does not have a floodgate, a good extra card floodgate, this card can be on 4 perfectly fine. I am a big advocate for this at 4 because of that reason. If we had a floodgate, let's say like explosive dance or whatever, and when we say floodgate, we mean generic, not counting like the one that 3-hand can pack or any of that stuff, but an actual generic one. I think until that time comes, Dirty Burst should be a 4-off. It should be allowed to be a 4-off. I think the fact it's on the ban list is completely wrong, and that should 100% come off.
It's nice to see that we're all in. I thought I was going to be getting some backlash from my take, so I'm happy that we're all in somewhat agreement.
Yeah. As long as there's no
I felt like I was the most cautious out of the 3 of us, surprisingly enough.
No, I definitely think that like Gamma made Dirty Burst a lot worse than what Dirty Burst actually is. And a lot of players will think differently, but like I'd be cautious, but I'd happily see it at 1 and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Ollie, you're gonna take the floor again for this one. A leader very close to your heart.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Not a deck that I ever enjoyed playing, but it was one that clicked with how I play the game, and it worked for the events that I wanted to play it in. Me and Tom, again, joke a lot about wanting this deck back at times, mainly when we're pretty fed up with the game and the state of the game. Realistically, we don't want this leader back because the only times where we want this back is when we're, like I said, fed up with the game and we just want an easy out, and this would be an easy out, but it would also be an easy deck for everyone else to play, and it would not be fun to play against, so there is that aspect to it. I think this leader can just stay banned. I think access to the topo for blue is not what you want with a leader that untaps 3. I wonder if you could get away with banning the topo and bringing this back, though. Yes, it untaps 3 every turn. Yes, you play out of your energy also. I wonder. I'm not even gonna position it as a motive here.
You give me shit about Crimson, and then you dare even think about this.
But I wonder if because SS3 is a thing. But if they ban the topo, what actually does this do in its opponent's turn other than defending friends?
Yeah.
Compelling argument.
There we go. But no, I think even in that world, I'd just be happier seeing the leader banned, because it kind of ruins what the deck is all about anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still got access to obviously the SH one, the
That's
one
true.
where
Yeah,
your
I forgot
opponent's got
about
a
that
bottom
guy.
deck. And I think what you'd end up being is more battle trick type deck. So like,
That's the
you're
kind of
right.
blue deck I enjoy, though. I love
Yeah.
like 4 realm in a deck. Oh man, I love those decks.
But yeah, the deck is I think too good. And don't forget, you can do stuff like turn the tide, right? And then on tap 3, right?
Mate. Yeah. If you were ever playing Turning the Tide in this deck, other than in Crimson format, I don't know what you were doing. I don't know. I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
I think the leader can stay banned. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, sod it off. Speaking of cards that can stay back.
Yeah, should we just scroll through these 3? It doesn't matter.
Bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye.
I'm
For
surprised
those
you're
of
not
you
bringing up one for the Red Sinjo, because, you know, it is kind of your
Fuck
deck.
off. Fuck
Minus,
right
minus,
off.
minus.
For those of you guys listening at home, we are going through SS4 Gogeta Triumphant together, 1-star Ball Sin Shenron, and Goku and Vegeta Gogeta leader. All 3 of these guys, not a chance in hell. I think that reinventing the leaders into something very, very different and very, very terrible in comparison, just so people can still play the cards from the deck,
Yep.
but in just a terrible way, like something that just doesn't even synergize properly with them. Just as like a penance for their crimes would be something I would advocate for.
Yeah, for destroying the format. Well, it says there, look, BT18 that came out and they didn't get banned. BT21. So these fuckers terrorized the format for 3 sets.
Yeah.
Which was a very long time. Like that's
It was a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was one. I think one got like heavily delayed as well. Like even Gamma was banned at the same time. So like all 3 of them were guilty of being cunts, basically.
In this year, right? They made these bans to these 2, right? And the Yamcha. And you know what
Yeah.
they did? They printed more support for these guys. They printed that Gohan counterplay and the SYN, which was specifically to support this deck for some reason in the
Yeah.
TPs. On the I just can't, mate. I just can't. Like simply some of the most bizarre choices that Bandai have ever made. No thank you, they're all gone. I'm not saying any more. Now we get on to Vegeta preparing for battle. This is just to stay on the ban list. Recycling super combos is just it's just a
Yeah.
no-go as far as I'm concerned.
I wouldn't hate to see it errata to be
Non-super combo. Yeah.
locked to Gogeta BR leaders is what I was going to say. Or non-super combo. I don't know if it's too strong giving the Gogeta BR deck the ability to recycle their super combo, but either one of the 2.
Potentially, I could see an errata as well. But it definitely has to have something to do with not bringing back super combos. Because I think maybe the green Gogeta BR is okay, but it also limits all your card design again. It's like you can't print any Veku or Gogeta BRs which are above a certain power threshold.
Because that's the thing as well. I didn't care about color either, did it? So
You could play this in the new blue Gogeta BR deck
yeah.
and sit there and yoink back crucial guys that you need to play.
Yeah.
Any of them, so you could just recycle the 8-drop for some reason.
Yeah.
Hit the Revoker, I feel like, is a card that should never have even hit the ban list in the first place.
What does this
felt like
do?
they were playing it in Gogeta Aegis. It's a counter play that you choose 2 of your opponent's energy and switch them to rest mode and play this card. And you play it for 3 energy. And you used to like Aegis and leave a bunch of energy up and do this to people, and it was like it was one of those things that when the deck first got announced, people were really high on it, and then they tested the deck and they were like, "This has got some real niche applications," and that's kind of it. I think it was like maybe a 2 off sideboard card.
Yeah, it really didn't do much. I don't remember playing against any Gogeta that played this on me at all. Like, yeah, there is situations where it could be quite toxic, but like, they're paying 3 for it. Like, yeah, yeah. I think this was more of a case of they were concerned. So I think Hit got banned because they believed it would be too broken, rather than banning it because it was broken. Like maybe I don't know if it was used a lot in America, but at least in Europe, it like I don't remember seeing this in like ever get used personally. But I
I've
think that was the reason.
So I'm of the opinion that anything that taps down energy is obviously a little bit scary, right? I've got 2 points that I'd be interested to bring up to see you guys' opinions as like counter arguments. The first one is probably the weaker one. The first one being the Gogeta yellow deck that came out like a set or 2 ago that gets to run a bunch of Aegis guys, so can potentially like actually use the 3 energy for this during an opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that deck is not the strongest, but it's also not the worst. And the second one was just the Gogeta Secret Rare being a bit busted and making like every card in yellow not really like you'd have to reevaluate the cost of every card in yellow just because of that card existing.
I mean,
So
that's a fair point.
while I agree that I've never seen this card even be played, and it might not do anything if it comes off, just because of the fact that it rests 2 energy, I'm also happy keeping it banned just in case.
Yeah. I think also like with this card, like you're sitting there going like, how has Absolute Annihilator survived, but this guy hasn't? And that's
Yeah.
kind of like the comparative point that we all look at. But yeah, the Gogeta SCR giving you all that energy to be able to abuse it.
The only thing, just to jump in, you can't
Yeah.
activate counter skills with the SCR. So,
Only for the turn though, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if you don't kill them the turn you go Gogeta SCR, you just kind of pass with a bunch of energy markers, and when they go to play something, tap them down so you can kill them next turn. Or stop all of their plays.
Yeah. I can see it, and I'm also not too fussed about it coming off the list either. Like, it's not done anything.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those weird cards where it might be like on there just in case stuff comes out in the future, but I think if it came off, it would probably be okay as long as we keep an eye on it.
Well,
But also,
if we
I don't mind
compare-
keeping it on.
I was gonna say if we compare it to Bergamo, that was 2 energy. That was also 25k. Was it 25 or 20?
Okay.
20k
We're going to get
body.
to it.
Yeah, and that was only 2 energy. This is 3, and it's only a 15k body. And this is only a counterplay where the other one was a lot more flexible. I think Bergamo is more of an issue than Hit, but I think we're right. I think Hit needs to stay banned only because the concept of it is very scary.
It's like the principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we keep it, and also, I think another thing, if it was an auto, I think it could be unbanned. Well, because it's all in the counterplay text,
You can't even counterplay it.
there's no interaction. So for that reason, 100% this stays banned. But if it was an auto, I think it would be fine to have as a card.
Sounds good to me. Android 16 Final Wish.
Yeah, I'm happy keeping this banned.
Just keep it banned.
Yeah.
Like,
Why did they
Go on.
ever make a Z leader that can come out at 4 or less life 20k for 1?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
sitting
a
this right
recipe
now,
for disaster.
there's nothing you can do to him. He's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
going
yeah.
to be awakened. Not a chance. Pete,
Oh, let's
you're
talk about
kind of
the
the struggles
Emperor.
here. Frieza, Ultimate Form Golden Frieza.
Yeah.
DP1 leader that finally bit the bullet last year. Obviously, we're going to talk about those emotions tied to this again.
What a miss this. If there's ever a leader that should never be banned, It's the Emperor himself,
Oh,
Golden
man.
Freezer.
Oh,
Like,
man.
come on, he was banned a year ago. He was banned just before finals. I had to fucking change my pick because this motherfucker got banned. But yeah, this guy should never be banned. He's fine. Like like there's no way to describe it. There's nothing wrong with this deck whatsoever. And I think even if it came back because of the floodgates, because we also have to remember, right, when he was in his prime, or one of his primes, the unison was the main win condition. That was the absolute beast. You know, you could 9 swings, 25 Ks, and that would be far too much. Explosive Dance hits unisons. We have the green cards that hit unisons. Blue still is the weakness to it, where it doesn't have that kind of interaction. And yellow is the same as it was before. It doesn't have any massive interaction, but you used to also pack Vegito counterplay as a way of dealing with the unison. So yes, I think we still had explosive dance technically when Frieza was banned, but it wasn't like used like it is today. And we didn't have the floodgate meta in the same sense. It was battle cards and stuff like that instead, which Frieza had answers for. So if I'm generally honest, not even biased, I genuinely believe this deck would be fine to come back. I genuinely believe that. However, I will say, thinking about it, with this secret rare, that's quite a lot of energy, right? So
Just a bit, mate.
maybe that might be a bit too much because we could then do this Annihilator, untap 2, kill a Freezer. Yeah, maybe it would be a bit too strong. But then again, we used to use Cooler as the SCR, so I mean, but we also had counter because that was another thing as well. We had counter when this was in its prime as well. So I'm gonna I'm gonna stop now, but I strongly believe this deck could come back, and I wish it did.
I think this guy stays banned.
Oh,
Not
God.
only for the fact that I think it's an incredibly strong leader, but I also don't like the idea of colors breaking their color identity, and this is a leader that is a prime example of that.
Because he's the Emperor.
And he's busted. He can stay banned.
I'm just gonna echo Ollie's sentiments really there. Like it is for the same reason as well. Is that like yellow as a color was never designed. Like all of the cards which are powerful in yellow are never designed to have that much energy available to use them. And because this was designed in set one, and they didn't think about, like this one leader's implications across 20 sets worth of a color's identity, having so much energy available to do all of the yellow floodgating and controlling powers it does is just not something that should have ever been in the game in the first place. And then you started to see this guy pop up in every other color as well, which was cool, but also again very problematic at different times. So from a design perspective, this card is like horrible to try and like look after and see where it's gonna cause the next issue. That when they brought out that 5 cost swap guy, the Goku Frieza swap thing, and they decided that apparently you could pick the leader for its effect and just
Yeah.
pop him out. Nah, like that's when they realized that our design can no longer fit around this guy.
Oh, that was a great card because barrier removal as well, which yellow needs.
Yeah,
And basically, because you could also kill it with your leader skill, it basically was free. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
oh
It
so good.
just stupid. Like if you still had to send the guy from the board for it, awesome. But no, this needs to stay banned. As much as like, I mean, this was my first leader in the game, so I have that emotional attachment to it as well, Pete. But I do think that maybe not so much in recency, but this guy needs to stay.
The
Stay
Emperor
banned.
needs to come back.
This is another one we need your help with, dear listener. Pop your comments below. See, do you back Pete? Are you a Golden Freezer enjoyer? or are you joining me and Ollie in our very same
It
take on
was
this card?
so good. Like Kidku would destroy this deck. Absolutely destroy this deck. So it's fine.
That's yeah, that's not an argument. That's not a good enough argument.
Give me the
Admittedly,
leader back.
admittedly, I used it for self-search, but I'm even aware that's not a good enough
Yeah,
argument.
think about it. The Unison instantly died.
I don't know if Kidku even destroys this, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a lot more
This has
faith
access
than
to
I do.
Ape. If
Yeah.
Nuova has a good matchup into Kidku, then this is just a better leader than Nuova that doesn't rely on his Unison.
Yeah, I rely on a different
Very
Unison
true.
to free play.
You
freezes
don't
on the
necessarily. You can play any yellow card and it's good in this deck. And also, that
Yeah.
Unison's a 20k if you do decide to play it.
No, the one drop. You know
The one drop, I see.
the higher dragon,
Yeah.
dragon.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair. But you don't necessarily have to go down that line either.
And I guess tapping 2 when you untap 1 or 2 on your Awaken isn't so bad for.
Yeah, probably not.
And
Yeah.
also getting to do that Z Dragons Z Extra where you tap 4 and tap 2 down 2 of their energy and then pop in a freezer army and untapping 2 cards again feels a little bit bad.
Anyway.
We'll move on and we'll leave it up to the viewers. Speaking of yellow cards which are a little bit too overtuned, Swift Retaliation Cooler.
I don't know how this lived for so long.
Yeah, we have kind of brought ourselves into a bit of a floodgate meta because this card has gone, but I feel like this is kind of necessary, especially with the amount of things that Yellow puts out. Like, imagine if they have this with the Gogeta SCR as well. It wouldn't be fun.
I mean, the Gogeta, you can't use it with the Gogeta SCR, because you can't use counters for the turn.
Yeah, no,
But
Pete did just say that.
I just said that like 2 seconds ago.
Well, no, that was an original thought from me, actually, so I thought that on myself.
Don't listen
3
to
hours
me.
of balance,
But
the brain's gone to flipping
yeah, it really has. Nah, I think this card stays banned. I never understood how this card existed.
It's really weird because I remember the era when people wanted this banned and it was quote unquote trash and like it was so not ban worthy, but that was also not long after Bad Ring. And then we got into an era where this card needed to be banned, which I think is quite funny. Just thinking out loud for anyone that would have remembered the era of when people were like, no one's going to pay 3 for Cooler. And no one did for a long time, but then it kind of became really good. So, but yeah, it needs. I do want to see more counters. But you have to be so careful. Like for example, maybe have a counter, but the battle stops. So if I've swung with a 50 triple or 50 quad and you go to floodgate me, I counter to stop the floodgate, but it doesn't stop you stopping the attack. You know? Maybe they're the counters that we need to see because I do think we need counters in the game or something to interact with these floodgates because that would also help to fix the floodgate meta, I think personally. Or even have it so it only works against extra cards, which then might bring back the battle card floodgates because the battle card floodgates already have answers for them with counterplays. And I think we could then get in this weird little triangle of counters. So it's like this counter stops your extra cards, but then if you're running battle card negates, you need the counterplay ones, and then you go into this kind of like weird little
That would be
circle.
cool. I'd be super down for that.
Yeah. So I think that's probably where Bandai maybe should take the game a little bit, but we'll see. But yeah, this card needs to stay banned, I guess.
Yeah, definitely agree on that one. I really like that direction for counters as well. Like, I think that being able to interact with the extra card ones, especially when they are so powerful at the minute, and they are only getting more powerful. When you've only got like Hunt of the Demon God and that King Vegeta in red to do it, you're in trouble.
But they're only under conditions that you activate it for free. If you pay one, then they don't work
Well,
against
that's
it.
it. Like explosive dance, there is
Yeah.
nothing in the game outside of like almighty resistance that stops that.
But that's the thing. I think with the counter, it has to not stop the counter stopping the attack. So it has
Yeah.
to only be the floodgate effect it stops. And I think if we have that, I think the game will be in a very healthy place. But yeah,
Adds a more strategic sense to when you're going in for that big attack, because like if you've got the counter, it just becomes so easy to be like swing with my biggest guy. Oh, I'm gonna floodgate. I'm gonna counter it. Hand dump. You've lost. Haha. Like
yeah,
there's no
yeah.
thought process that's to go into that. It's like I've got the counter. I win. Hee hee.
Where this would, I think, fix that.
Definitely. Bergamo, I think for the same reason we touched on Hit earlier, this is just Hit but infinitely better in every single way.
Yeah, we keep that banned.
This card tapping down energy for 2. Even when it was at 1 and people were like, again, this is the place with limited cards where they were like, oh, well, what should we, shouldn't we? People aren't really playing it. Like, just no, like this card was just a sacktastic mess. Like, if they got the 1 Bergamo on you and tapped you out in your turn because you slightly missequence your swings, like, it feels bad, man. Almost there. Android 21 in the name of peace, very recent ban. This has probably just got to stay as well, to be honest with you. I think there's other things you maybe do with Android 21, but like this is banned and that deck's still doing stuff. So
yeah, I'm happy to keep this banned as well. I was never a fan of the Android 21 deck, although the part of me that played Expert and absolutely loved it is really sad to see this card gone, because it really hurt Expert losing this card. And yeah, I reminisce on the Expert times a lot.
That's true, because like you don't get the self-awaken from this card, as well as like the you get to play the Rampart as well, don't you, as well? Still in that deck, so yeah, it's just a little bit too overtuned in terms of what it sets up. Like the fact that you can just get into that like into the 4-cost ramper so easily. Like easy accessible ramp is just a no-go in this game.
Yeah.
And the final card on this slog, on all the banned cards, very, very recent edition, our most recent edition, Vegito, Unison of Might. Yeah, this card was like, I remember this card being a menace, like set 16 meta, like people would side into this, and like I was siding copies of this card in King Piccolo to free play dudes out and like floodgate people off, and all the red decks were playing it back then. It was a bit of a menace, and there was a bit of a discussion whether this kind of level of floodgate should be in the game. And the answer is absolutely not. And Kidku was finally the thing to kind of just like push that over the edge. And while Kidku exists, this card absolutely can't. And again, from just a design perspective, we will see more decks down the line that don't really care about like whether they tap out to play this guy because they know they win on the turn they do it, or at least a couple of turns down the road by just floodgating twice in a row.
Yeah, I never played against anyone that was Kidku, so I can't really like have that conversation. I know people kept saying about it in Kidku. I never saw it in Kidku. I never played against anyone doing it in Kidku. I remember the era of people doing it in Bulma, because that was a thing back in the day with Bulma. And fair enough, Bulma, different era, different strong deck. It was strong in Bulma, but it wasn't like game breaking in my eyes. So I'm gonna have to trust what people are saying about it. Personally, I think it's probably healthy that it's gone, but
Yeah.
I never personally played against it to say that is broken, if that makes sense. But people keep saying it's broken, so
It's another card that just shuts off an entire game mechanic, which
yeah,
can be
that's
done over multiple turns. So I think, again, by design, this is okay to be banned, and possibly should have been banned before we ever saw Kidku hit the limelight. I mean, there's a reason our team is named after it, right?
I was gonna say, does the out of curiosity, the Power Wish deck, Does he only give markers to Z unisons, or does he give it to any
I
unison?
think it has to give it to a Shenron Z unison.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. I was just thinking out loud to like, is there a world where like this is like broken to hell in that deck? But that's fine. Yeah, you're probably right there. It's probably a Shenron. Okay.
And there you have it.
We've made it.
We've finally made it. That is every single. There's almost like 100-ish cards on this list, and we've gone through them all in this session. So
Yeah, we appreciate you guys sticking with us because we didn't
hope
think it
you've
would be this
enjoyed our
long.
insight. There's been some really good discussion in there, and I think there's a good amount of these cards that could come off the list, and a good amount of them that really need to stay there. So there you are, everyone. There is our thoughts on every card on the limited and banned list. What should come off? What should stay on? What should be errated? Let us know what your thoughts are as well. We're really keen to hear how you guys feel about this list. Should Bandai be interacting with it more, giving us a couple of things to experiment with off the list? We've had some really interesting discussion there. As I mentioned last week, and then also again this week, there is no Dragon Ball's Den this week. That is because we want to give you guys a couple of weeks, and this is a bit of a bonus episode, as it were, anyway. Probably a really long bonus episode, but, enjoy it for what it is. There's not going to be one, and that gives you guys enough time to get plenty of submissions to us. So if you're listening at the minute, we're going to be doing all of your submissions in the next episode. So you've not missed anything. We're still going to be reading all the comments. We're also going to be running through these guys' journey in France as well. So please stay tuned for that.
Check us out on the stream on Top Tables.
Look at the confidence. Look at the confidence my boy is imbued right there.
I'll be X8 and drop.
That's understandable. We'll see you on the bottom table. Do you think the stream will be there, or do you think we'll be able to still catch you on stream? Or
Mate, the bottom stream. The bottom tables will be streamed because I'm there. You know what I mean?
Well, again, the confidence. What can I say?
The opposite confidence, but yeah.
The camera pans over and you've just got that one copy of Hope of Universe 7 in your hand.
Exactly.
Thinking, looking at your hand, looking at your energy, looking at your Zeta, what do I do, bro?
Yeah, is there a way to play this?
All I'm saying, all you need is a 4-cost in Shenron, and that's Salzino right there.
He's already 0-8. He's about to go 0-9 as his opponent Salzino as that Hope of Universe 7 out of his hand. We'll have to call the Samaritans for these at that point. But yes, lovely chatting with you all as usual. Leave all of those Dragon Ball Den submissions below, all of your thoughts on the band limited list, and we'll catch you next week for a very, very special episode 10.
Bye.
Bye!